running out of time. I'm running out of feeling, so I'm running out of time.
This could be huge. Manages to find them.
Well, we're back and ready for play day 2 of our finals here at the Oceanic Nationals presented by Samsung. It's the gauntlet and it is sure to cause some upsets. I have, of course, joining me on the desk, Dev Marta and the ever wonderful Vinny. You've had your rest now, Vinny. How are you feeling after what was a pretty explosive day for Roflcopter?
Super excited, Manic. I think today's going to be an awesome day of Siege. If how close yesterday's matches were any indication of what we're going to see today, I'm very keen.
And
Yep.
Dev, boy, go.
Oh, I'm just so hyped. We're running out of time for the grand final. It is going to happen this afternoon after, of course, our prelim round. And I'm so keen. I could not be more hyped for what is really the new year and the new format here with OCN.
Yeah, there's only 2 matches left to play in the gauntlet. The best of 3 with Roflcopter taking on Chiefs. And the winner of that will, of course, go into a best of 5 series against the Knights. So it is a pretty big day, all things considered. Now, Dev, you were just talking about the format. I'm going to say this, and I'd love to get your thoughts. I think this is the best possible format for the teams that we have, and leading from the season, I think it puts everything on the line every play day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so awesome because it means that, as you're saying, every single play day during the regular season has a maximum impact, and you have teams like Bliss who just had such a good run through the regular season, and because of that, they got that place in the gauntlet advanced, and it was Roflcopter who actually had to run the gauntlet and make it all the way through. They actually did quite impressively, so it's really great on them. But now we get to the real big hitters here in OCN. Chiefs and Knights are going to be the toughest opponents for Roffle to take down.
Definitely so. I think it's a fair statement. And Vinny, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. You know, Chiefs have had I would say they've had an unbelievable season, all things considered. Also in APAC South, you know, turning up and performing. What is your read on the Chiefs? Are they at the best they've been?
I think the most impressive thing is their recent form. I think 3 wins in a row are coming into this map, into this series, sorry, and pretty convincing wins as well. APAC South and OCN, very tough opponents. I think 7-2, 7-3, 7-0 in those 3 maps. So very keen to see what they can pull off today. I've been hyping them up all weekend. I've been hyping up Fisho Guy and what he brings to this team, and I think they're going to make a big impact on this league and hopefully in the future of Siege in this region.
To be honest, it does seem to be leaning that way. Everything that I've seen from the Chiefs, you know, all right, let's just be honest. The Chiefs have not had the cleanest of runs up until now in their entire kind of Siege history, but certainly so they are looking on form, and they are taking on an in-form Roflcopter, Dev. This matchup is sure to give us one howl of a barn burner.
Yeah, certainly. And the thing that's so exciting about this is it's such a juxtaposition between these 2 teams. Chiefs, you've got arguably the largest esports organization here in Australia against Roflcopter, unrepresented with the memeiest logo you could possibly ask for. You have the Chiefs with some of the veterans of the scene. You've already mentioned Fisho, of course, Vast, God Legion. Also massive veterans, as really the whole of this roster. And on contrast, you've got Roflcopter with players like Boydie, who are really making their debut season. So it is definitely a David versus Goliath. It is the veterans versus the underdogs.
Yeah, so we'll talk about maybe leading to Roflcopter here a little bit deeper, Vinny, because they have really impressed, I think, coming out of the qualifiers. We weren't too sure what to expect. They obviously had an incredible performance to get promoted, but ever since, they've still been a team on the forefront of our minds.
Yeah, I mean, I've been predicting against Roflcopter this whole weekend so far, but they've been nothing but proving me wrong, and I'm happy to be proved wrong.
Yeah.
I think they're by far the best young talent we have in this region, and they've really shown that they can hold their nerve against strong opponents and close out series, which I think some of the more experienced teams haven't been able to do, and I think that's really impressive.
I think that crouch button for Boydie, we need to get that fixed, Dev. Surely, that's I mean, that was a bit of a weird one yesterday, wasn't it? The interview was always kind of leaving us with more questions, I feel.
Yeah, well, as does, of course, our interviews every time with Boydie. But yeah, something's wrong with that crouch button. It seems to just get spammed every time they win a round. But, well, that is just one of the many mysteries of OCN here. But Roflcopter, like you said it, Vinny, that these guys are the young and upcoming talent here in the region. And it's pretty amazing to see the journey that they've made from that open qualifier end of last year. They came through relegations, knocked Rhythm out of the running, and took their spot. And I think that with a lot of up-and-coming teams that perform well at the start, it begs the question, is this just a honeymoon period? Is this just, they're kind of cheesing a bit of a play style and other teams haven't got the read on them yet? And I don't think that it really is the case with Roflcopter. I think that they have proven that they guaranteed third place at OCN here. They've taken down some of the massive teams. They've proven that they are a very well-established team.
Vinny, would you say it's a honeymoon period for them?
I think with the Siege they're playing right now, I wouldn't think it's a honeymoon period. I think they're practicing the right things, and the things they're showing against really experienced teams is, something that, even more experienced teams are struggling to find. We saw Bliss yesterday play that kind of unpredictable play style that isn't super consistent, and I think Ruffle dealt with that pretty well. And I think against a more structured team like Chiefs, they're actually going to show some better Siege today.
Well, we'll have a look at whether or not they will, because we're going up against the Chiefs. Because in all honesty, this roster has had, it felt like they had so much potential for so long. Season 11 Pro League, they finished top 2. They looked like they were red hot running. And then, I don't know what happened, 6 Masters. They come into OCN stage playoffs last year, and they kind of get crumbled by LFO. Dev, surely they will not let this one slip.
Oh, that's it. This is the team that has always been so close to the top. You think about start of last year, they came second in the ANZ Pro League, only behind Fnatic. And if you look further back as well, these guys nearly defeated Fnatic at the 6 Masters playoffs. In fact, Vinny, you played for these guys for quite some time. It always feels like this team has just been one step short of a championship.
Knocking on the door, Vinny. Is this their time? Is this their time to shine? In all honesty, I think that, what we've seen so far, it could well be. I know you've highlighted Fisho already. Is there anyone else that you think everyone should be kind of keeping an eye on?
Yeah, for sure. I think, God Legion and Vast have been around for such a long time, and I think the team looks to them as kind of like the stable pillars of the team, and more often than not, they're incredibly consistent. But I think today, and throughout the whole season, I think my MVP, probably over all of OCN so far, has been Worthy, as you can see on screen. He's been unbelievably consistent, and even at times when those pillars have kind of crumbled under the pressure, God Legion kind of had a struggle throughout the season. Worthy's been super consistent, and right now I think all of them are playing at their best, and I think that's why they're finding such good form recently.
And Dev, we've kind of had some win conditions for Chiefs over this past season, and some of it has actually kind of lent into Legion showing up in the server. Do you think that's still an echoed statement today?
Yeah, I definitely think you have a lot of big hitters, and God Legion is one of them. He's for a very, very long time been known as just an insane fragger. I think, what was the meme that people used to say back in the old days? You would just drone him in, and then you would just hear dead, 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 as he just cleans up all the roamers while you live drone him. He's a really insane player. I will actually agree with you, Vinny, though, because I think Worthy has kind of flown under the radar for some people. He's just so consistent. And I guess the thing that has changed this season with Chiefs is instead of just having some really strong players, they have that kind of glue that holds them together. In Fisho, guy who's come from the former Meloncat roster, and I think bringing that extra bit of structure and mental fortitude to the team as well, it just makes them look like so much more of a mature team in the server and much more well-developed.
Now, Dev, I'm not sick of hearing your voice, so I'm going to ask you this. Where do you think we're headed for these map vetoes? I want a bit of a prediction before we get into it.
All right, disclaimer, I actually haven't looked at the veto yet.
Oh, thank God.
I think we'll probably see a clubhouse. Pretty confident map for both of these teams. I think we'll probably, I mean, this sounds boring, but I think we'll probably see Clubhouse in Oregon. I would love to see a Coastline because that would be a rematch of Chiefs versus Roflcopter from the season. Chiefs destroyed them. I think Roflcopter will try and ban it, but with this veto system, I don't think they're going to have to, they're going to have enough bans to get rid of it. So I feel like it's going to come through and slip through the veto.
Oh, all right. Let's have a look. Will it slip through? That's the real question. Are we going to Coastline? No, we're not going to be. Vinny, we've got Cafe first. We head to Villa, and if it's needed, Clubhouse to finish. How are we feeling about this trio?
So the Chalet ban from Ruffle has been pretty consistent over this weekend. I think they're either hiding some unbelievable strats or they're not working on that map at the moment. But I think the problem with Ruffle right now is that over the in yesterday specifically, they played 4 different maps. So Chiefs have a lot of info to go off, and I think the map veto, they played Cafe and Club yesterday, so Chiefs will have that kind of info. Villa is a bit of a toss-up between both teams, but I think Chiefs have won this veto, to be honest.
Oh, okay, interesting. Dev, he's just mentioned 4 different maps. Does that make them more versatile? Does that make Ruffle more dangerous, or are you agreeing with Vinny?
Look, I agree with Vinny, definitely, because, yeah, like you said, Vinny, especially playing best of 1 during the season, right, you can kind of hide a lot of your maps, and that's exactly what Roflcopter have done. They have actually never played Villa or Chalet. It's been banned all the time, so obviously they had to only ban one of them in their first set of bans. They banned Chalet. That left Villa in the running, so Chiefs just snapped that up right away. Instead of the Coastline, I think it's an interesting decision from Chiefs. You're going to Villa where you have no info on Roflcopter, and you don't know whether they're actually going to be any good, or you go to Coastline where you've beaten them before. So I like that from Chiefs. Bit daring, and we'll see if it pans out for them.
So Roflcopter are currently undefeated, Vinny, in the gauntlet right now. Haven't dropped a single map. Are you leaning into a 2-0 here for Chiefs, or are we thinking it's still going to be? Is it going to remain close?
I think the way that Ruffle come out of the gates will be very important. I think if Chiefs can set the tempo on the first map early and pick up some round wins very early in a row, I think it'll be tough for Ruffle to recover.
Yeah.
And I think if Chiefs were to win the first map, they would go on to 2-0 this pretty easily.
Dev, Cafe is where we head. Is it possible that we see this clean up in 2-0 with the Chiefs taking the first map?
Well, we did see just yesterday, Ruffle did defeat Order on Cafe 7-5. So I think that's a pretty good result to boast for their camp. Especially because, Chiefs recently actually didn't have great form on this map. The last time they played it was against Elevate in APAC South, and they were destroyed 7-2. So that does give you, I guess, some hope for Roflcopter. But actually, Vinny, I'd like to pick your brain a little bit. The other time that Roflcopter played this recently was actually against your team, Wildcard, and you beat them 7-5. So do you think that is, having been against them in the server, do you think that there are weaknesses that Chiefs here can exploit?
Yeah, I definitely think... Well, to be honest, I think in our match, Nerves got the best of Ruffle. I don't think they showed, their best Cafe, especially towards the end when there's a lot of pressure on the line. That's 6-5 match point. They were kind of struggling to roam clear a cav, and some kind of funky stuff happened. But I think today against Chiefs, the BO3 format, there's a little bit less pressure on the first map. They know they can go to a second map and still, have a chance to take the series. So, I think it will be a different match compared to the ones they played against us. Yesterday against Order, they were actually fairly strong. I think Nico kept Order in that map more than they probably should have been. I think the scoreline should have been something closer to 7-3, 7-2, to be honest. But yeah, I think this will be a really interesting matchup.
Well, let's have a look at the predictions and see where all our so-called experts lie. Ruffle, we are so sorry. I think that you're not getting enough credit for your seasonal performance and now into the gauntlet. It is a blue day, Dev.
Yeah, well, I guess we just wanted the predictions to match like the background graphic and the whole branding theme of OCN here, and me and Vinny's shirts, of course. I think that was the go. But no, in all serious, I've picked Ruffle for almost all of their matches during the regular season, and I picked them for both of their matches yesterday that they won. I just, honestly, Vinny, you just convinced me yesterday when you said that Chiefs are just so in form and you reckon they're going to take the whole tournament. After you said that, I was like, oh, I don't want to get left behind if I'm the only one that picks Roflcopter and I'm wrong.
You've just spoilt the script for us, Dev. My goodness, disclaimer, there's no script. But Vinny, you are going for the Chiefs, and I believe that you are backing them against Knights. Are they really in this fine form?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, if the last 3 matches are anything to go by, it's been completely dominant wins against very strong opponents. I think, this is the time, kind of peaking in terms of form. I feel like there's been this build up for them. They've really tried to get everything working. I think the losses before those wins were fairly close anyway. So I think it's been building up to this moment. I think this tournament is definitely the time when they peak and they get this win.
Well, the Chiefs are looking like they may be the favourites here, as they have hit some fine form, but there's no discounting Roflcopter and what they've achieved so far. We're going to leave it in the capable hands of Xenox and Guz to run you through all the action. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, boys. It's shaping up to be a blue day, hence my blue attire. And Guz, you've got a bit of blue on you as well with the OCN badge. For Roflcopter, they come into this as clear underdogs, but what they've proven in the gauntlet run so far, Guz, is they're up for the task.
Anything is possible in OCN, and casters are renowned in this region for cursing teams, and the fact that we have all predicted the Chiefs to set this one up beautifully for a banging series, and I have no doubt if Roflcopter can get off to a really strong start here on Cafe, they could maybe roll that into a series win.
Ifs, ands, buts, maybes, it all just has to come down to the now. Chiefs versus Roflcopter. The winner of this series moves forward in the gauntlet. They will move to the grand final where they will play the Knights. But of course, they have to get through this best of 3 first. We kickstarted on Cafe, and the first bands go out, and the first good lucks and the good have funs and all of the shenanigans to follow.
In terms of match history, we don't have heaps to go off, at least for the Chiefs. It's been a long time since they've played Cafe locally. They did play it in APAC South against Elevate, the Southeast Asian team, and lost 2-7, so maybe a little bit of a worrying sign there. On the flip side, of course, we did see Roffle play this map yesterday. It was a 7-5, so a little bit close, but as Vinny said on the desk, you could probably argue that Nico was hard carrying order in that game and kept that one a little bit closer than it should have been. So a lot of question marks heading into this matchup, a lot of unknowns, and it's pretty difficult to make an assumption as to which team would be stronger. You would hope that Roffle come out of the gate strong, though, again, considering that it is their map pick.
Felt going to be the final ban. Pretty standard bans across the board. Could make the case maybe for the Echo being slightly left of field, but nothing too crazy about this. To kickstart this match, though, Roflcopter are going to be on the defense first, and according to the statistics, and Cafe's had a fair few games in OCN now, guys, of course, we saw it yesterday too, 57% defensive win rate, and that also lines up with what we saw yesterday in the first round of the gauntlet, where we saw Roflcopter versus Order. Both teams did better on their defenses than their attacks. So if Chiefs can get off to a good start here, overwhelm Roflcopter, get some good attacking rounds on the board, look to them at the then switch of the half to come home strong with the defense.
Well, if that number does ring true in this matchup, you would have to assume Roffle will be aiming for at least a 4-2 half to give themselves the lead, and statistically an even result at worst. I think another thing as well, just thinking about the veto, because when it popped up, right, I know this is probably thinking a little bit too far ahead, but it's an interesting talking point nonetheless, is during that veto, right, the Chiefs decided to actually go to Villa for the second map instead of Coastline, despite during the regular season, the Chiefs being super strong. So if the Chiefs don't come out of the gate strong here, take a little bit to warm up in the best of 3, Villa may well be a little bit of a dodgy map. So my point is, if they start off slow here at Cafe and that translates into a slow map too, considering the map that they decide to go to, they could be a little bit frisky.
Well, before we get to that map, of course, we're going to get to Cafe first. Snap Fitness community vote, though, 69% in favor of the Chiefs, 31% in favor of Roflcopter. Nice voting from everyone along at home, and definitely the favored team, the Chiefs, leading that tally. On the attack first here on Cafe, of course, they got the work cut out for them. Roflcopter are in fine form based off of what we saw from yesterday, day 1 of the gauntlet. 4-0, 4 very quick maps against their opponents, Order and Bliss, getting the job done. Not really many of the maps and not really many moments either coming down to close margins. They were pretty comfortable for the majority of the night. Bouncing balls was a huge impact for the team, along with Campo as well, especially on that coastline game. We're seeing OJ have some good plays. Boydie as well, having some pretty clutch moments. Hotshot maybe the quietest of the 5.
Now, Hotshot has had a little bit of a quiet season overall. Statistically, one of the weaker players for Roffle, but again, stats don't mean everything. Contributions towards teams can, oh, whoa, sometimes not be attributed to numbers. OJ gets his first on the board, though. A very nice shot there into God Legion. Shuts down one of their key fraggers and will take away a lot of utility from the side of the Chiefs.
Yeah, glad you brought that up as well. God Legion's been the most informed player for the Chiefs, at least over the last month of Siege action. So good player to get rid of early on in the piece. 4 versus 4 with Fisher Guy at least demonstrating, getting the kill onto Campo. Good player to take out, playing the Warden this round. Digital just gets spotted though by bouncing balls, and that's the player to look out for. Bouncing to make plays for Roflcopter. Fisher Guy though, just like previously, is able to respond, keep things leveled. 3 versus 3 with 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining in the round.
Roflcopter playing quite aggressively below. We saw this yesterday against Order, and the Chiefs clearing this out would suggest that they were probably watching that match and ready and waiting for a similar setup. That said, it's still not completely clear. Bouncing inside of Library could have an impact. Playing now over towards Pillar. Needs to be mindful of mining. Almost sees the gun there, surely. Of Fisher Guy, he hears him drone. He could get aggressive, but the drone should spot him out.
If he didn't see him, he definitely heard him and definitely had the information as Bouncing continues to play around Pillar. 40 seconds remaining in the round. Chiefs trying to flush this player out, but they're going to make their way upstairs and try and get the plant. That's Fisher Guy, who's kind of pinned down now. Bouncer knows that he's got 2 angles to look for. Fisher Guy finds his 3rd kill of the round, but most importantly, he's got 25 seconds to make his way upstairs now and get that plant, but it's Worthy who takes a hot shot, and Chiefs just slowly slicing and dicing their way towards the site.
Well, you're left in the 1 versus 3. The one thing going for him is time, as Fisher will try to stick that plan. If he can maybe deny it, there could be an opening. He does find the first, but he doesn't quite get the second. Fisher comes up clutch, and the Chiefs take the round.
Smart from Fisher Guy there. If he tries to stick that, he probably dies, and I would then dare say Chiefs probably lose the round if he didn't get the good opening round for the Chiefs. 1-0. Involved, finding a few picks. We saw Bouncing again involved amongst the action early on, especially around Pillar, and being a nuisance against the Chiefs, but nonetheless unsuccessful defense for Roflcopter. They now head down to kitchen service cooking.
Yeah, that was quite a peculiar round, right? Normally, typically on an upstairs attack, we see a lot of action in Lounge and teams contesting control of Pixel and then White Hallway, but bar Boydie's last-ditched attempt to win the round at the end, then every single gunfight took place below the objective in the likes of Train and Mining, as teams contested control and tried to find picks. In the end, the Chiefs did a really good job of pinching out players and playing off intel and gave themselves the advantage for the execute. So it was well played there by the Chiefs, and that's a trend we've seen in the last few weeks where they are gathering intel and playing off it really efficiently.
And for Roflcopter's sake, I mean, I think it says a lot about where they've been at the last couple of days. They're happy to be aggressive, they're happy to make plays, and happy to bring the fight, say in that instance, downstairs and back themselves in to win their ones and to win those exchanges. And they're going to actually extend above here with the castle as well, try and keep control of this train and dining area. Make it a little bit more difficult for Chiefs to get that vert control, put a lot of pressure onto the kitchen site from above. We'll see how much they want to contest it though, or if it's just going to be, say, the looks of all the Rios and the castle barricades and not much actual defense.
Does look like Campo is holding it at the moment, and the Chiefs indicating that they'll go for a top-down sweep by rappelling to the roof and already beginning to pressure Lounge. I don't believe anyone is holding top floor. Actually, there might be a player top white. There is. Yep. I think that is, well, we've got the Vigil under the skylight.
Oh,
and I couldn't quite tell who the outline was in Cocktail.
This is interesting.
Way, yeah, I mean, this is aggressive, right? Because they're trying to contest above and waste time, but you do run the risk of dropping picks. It is Bouncing playing that position. We can see Boydie already looking to fall off, and probably Wise, considering God Legion has taken control of shop pretty quickly.
And yeah, the reason why I say it was interesting, I was expecting more of a second floor sort of hold around that train dining area. which is what you're kind of seeing here, as we saw before. Campo as well, sitting inside a train. It seems as if, though, they've given up this third floor pretty easily without any sort of major conflict taking place either. God Legion just peeping down top of White Stairs. Boydie at the very bottom. Minute and a half remaining, but what this is doing from Roflcopter is forcing this top-down clear, wasting a lot of time, and it's working out pretty well right now. I mean, Chiefs haven't really even gotten to this second floor hold. Now only Worthy just now pushing in, of course, and seeing all of the commotion, but they haven't really got to work in terms of opening up this kitchen site.
Yeah, it did take them a while to gain the intel to clear the roamers. Of course, keeping in mind the Mute Mozzie combo being brought by the defense in combination with the Vigil mate, that a little bit more difficult. The Chiefs, of course, not really short on intel gathering either, right? They've got the Yana and the Jackal in combination. Bouncing in a very peculiar position, sends out a C4. Doesn't hit the mark though, and that's one less for the plant. But that's the second follow-up there from Hotshot that hits the mark, and that's God Legion again being taken down early by Ruffle.
Nothing he could do about that one, but just watch and see the flash of his eyes. Although, quick double there for Roflcopter just gives them a pretty unassailable lead, you would sense from here. 5 versus 2 with 35 seconds left in the round. Worthy just gets swung on. Hotshot doing well here on the defense side of Kitchen, and while that was just flawless in the end, from start to finish for Roflcopter in round 2, they're on the board.
Big little shot there from Bakery to close things out there for Ruffle. And really well done there on the roam. They wasted about a minute and a half to 2 minutes, and they didn't contest a single pick. They just fell back to side, and the Chiefs took their time. Good late round play here again from Ruffle. Really cheeky C4 there, and Gold Legion dislodged early once again there, unfortunately for the Chiefs, and he didn't really have an impact on the frags.
Good signs for Roflcopter though, and the ability for them to be able to just displace Chiefs, cause them a bit of mischief. We saw that third floor hold, the second floor hold, and really just forcing the Chiefs to clear top down the whole way through the whole map, wasting so much time, really unsettling them. So full credit to Roflcopter. And then, most importantly, when Chiefs did start to actually get towards that kitchen site and they were above, we saw the C4s then come out. And then anyone that tried to drop down, good luck. Hotshot's waiting below on the smoke with the shotgun. So from start to finish, it was Ruffle's round. Now we go back up above. It is going to be Bar Cocktail for round number 3. And you said before that 4-2 half would be ideal for Roflcopter. Chiefs don't necessarily need to get too much on the attack. Anything from here is really going to be a bonus. If they can get 3+, they're going to be laughing. So the onus is still on Roflcopter to take the lead into the half.
Aggressive mirror setup established here from OJ. Keen to see if Ruffle invests down below again, keeping in mind that a lot of the gunfights in round number 1 did take place below the objective. In fact, the only one that really took place on the objective was Boydie late round in the 1 versus 3. The setup so far here from Ruffle suggesting they're playing more towards the site, instead contesting the likes of Lounge and maybe Shop if they wanted to over-aggress. And the Chiefs are not playing into downstairs at the moment, looking to take top down.
Yeah, and you know, usually what you would see in the past, there's a lot of pressure on Pixel. You see the shields, you see the ADSs. This is just like a trip down memory lane, I guess, if you will. A lot of pressure from the defensive team along this white corridor region. You got to play in backstore, players usually on side of Cocktail. So as you mentioned before, Roflcopter decided to switch it up, play a lot more downstairs and force the fight offsite. Didn't quite work out. But I'm a little surprised they've given up on it immediately. I didn't think it was too bad for the most part. They were getting trades. You know, at one point it got to like 3 versus 3. And maybe at that point, 3 versus 3 is when you try and sort of bring it back a little bit, try and get back to site. But the big difference was Bouncing got caught at Pillar, couldn't make his way back to site. So this time they're going to just have a more structured defense on site. But this allows Worthy to get an opening kill onto Campo. And it is going to make things a little bit easier for Chiefs. There's just less nuisance elsewhere that they've got to deal with. They can just focus on this lounge area and getting the ability to get into backstore and around bar.
Really good work there from the Chiefs, pinching out that player inside of Pixel. Campo left with nowhere to run. The utility place to protect him was taken down, and he was shut down on the rappel, covering the cross, which is really good work there from the Chiefs. Great coordination. And now with a minute to go, plenty of manpower and utility to work with. A lot of nades and smoke still in the pocket that can be used to clear utility on site. And Ruffle probably will have a tricky time trying to shut this down.
Yeah, there's still 50 seconds left as well. And as you said, now they start to get to work. Push a guy with the drone. It's going to spot 2. You can hold the skylight position, make things very difficult for Roflcopter if they want to push out a cocktail. OJ, though, finds a kill to Gold Legion. Gold Legion's 0-3 in the first 3 rounds. It's good signs for Roflcopter, not so good for Chiefs, although this is much better for the Chiefs fans watching along at home. 4 versus 2. Bouncing with a good swing, though, through Cigar. Now he's got a decent position, actually, over at Bar. He can kind of pinch the Chiefs from behind, but he did need some help from OJ. Needed to withstand Digital, and he can't neither. Can bounce it. Digital pops off in the end. Wins the round for the Chiefs. They go up 2-1.
Sharp there from Digital at the end there to get that final pick, and some nice aggression there from the Chiefs is rewarded. It did look a little bit scary there with bouncing on the flank late, but of course it was too little too late. Nice replay here of that pinch towards Pixel. Again, the Chiefs looking really coordinated at the moment. The last few weeks for them has looked that way, and so far here on Cafe, it's early signs that are good signs.
Yeah, and you can say that for both teams. From what we've seen through the first 3 rounds, probably Chiefs just edging it slightly simply because they're on the attack. They've already got 2 attacking round wins, so you kind of give them some extra benefit points there. But Roflcopter's singular round win that they got was obviously a flawless round. It was very convincing. They looked good. They were even in that first round. It was back and forth. So I would say that round that we just saw play out, round number 3, was the one that didn't look as good for Roflcopter, and Chiefs were just overwhelmingly in command from start to finish in that round. So for Roflcopter to make sure that doesn't become a trend, that's a one-off round, that they can fight back here, make it 2-2, and make a series of this, because if Chiefs get this next one, it starts to blow out a little bit. I know it's only early days, but a 3-1 scoreline with Chiefs on the attack does not bode well for Roflcopter.
Aggressive hold above here from Ruffle, again bringing that mirror to the board to aid in holding above. Aruni, as well as the Jaeger to help deny projectiles as well. Pretty typical here from Ruffle, investing over towards the cocktail side of the map, the eastern side, expecting the Chiefs to play into that. Judging by the way the Chiefs have been playing so far and their level of coordination being quite high, I expect they will attempt to clear this and take it head on.
Yeah, and some teams, especially on that 3rd floor hold, may extend out even to Pixel, at least just momentarily. It doesn't seem as if Roflcopter are going to do that. I really hope they don't sort of just go into their shells a bit. I still want them to be aggressive, and you're seeing this a little bit from OJ and Train, but I just want them to make sure that they don't lose their identity. Don't play too structured and too defensive. They got 3 above. That's fine. That's good. But how long are they going to commit to this? That's the question. Are they going to push out? Are they going to look for kills? You know, you can see there's nothing over towards Pixel, nothing over towards Lounge. They are very far back on this cocktail defense, which is going to deny a bit of time from the Chiefs. But are they going to get kills from it? Maybe. It depends. It's unlikely.
OJ down below on the pulse, causing some issues here for the Chiefs, and he'll be able to gain intel on these players entering in towards Lounge. In combination with the player at top white watching through the mirror window, they may be able to coordinate a C4 pick onto the likes of Digital and Vast, looking to take control of this side of the map. So keep that in mind. God
Look at the
Legion.
time.
Yeah, I mean, time's trickling down. God Legion entering in first, we need to be mindful. He's struggled on the openings so far, and if he does end up falling to OJ on the C4, that would hurt even more.
They might elect to just skip this cocktail push. There's only 1 minute and 15 seconds left, and God Legion's already pushing now into mining. So I wonder if Chiefs have decided to just change the approach a little bit here. OJ from below trying to see what he can find, but he hasn't actually found any heart sensors for a little while now. And they are starting to open up on the 2nd floor. A little bit more of a horizontal push from the Chiefs and just adapting on the fly and showing their versatility. 55 seconds left in the round. They do have to pick it up a pace, but because of their readjustments, they're actually getting closer to the sites now rather than having to deal with that cocktail area.
OJ lit up there. The only player to take damage. Oh, I take that back as Bouncing from above finds Fisho. It is traded back though, with the Jaeger taken off the board there by Digital, who's having a strong map so far. Control above here for Ruffle could prove critical as the Chiefs look to try and clear that late, but they are a little bit disjointed.
Boydie, so aggressive, pushing up that white corridor. Has even got a peephole through this washrooms area. Surely can win out here. He's just taking a chunk of damage though by Digital. Knows he's in there. He's litting him up a lot here. Digital, there's only 13 seconds left. This is not really where you want to be fighting though. So this is a win for Boydie more than anything. It just so happens that elsewhere, a lot of players of RoflcopterGG had fallen, but OJ stays alive along with Hotshot, and they get 2 critical kills. Diffuser's not going to be picked up and planted in time. A well-earned RoflcopterGG win.
Great work there by Roffle. The Chiefs struggling to gain control above meaningful control at that. And you saw the switch kind of flick, right? With a minute 20 to go, you highlighted it, Xenox. They kind of just gave up, fell off, tried to go for the horizontal take. And by then, they really didn't have the meaningful control required to take anything. They tried to take pillars and the players from above shut that down. They tried to push the likes of Train and 90, but angles from reading made that really difficult. And eventually, even if they had have taken slight control, the vertical from above would have proved costly anyway. So all in all, a struggle for the Chiefs and really well held out there by Roffle.
Yeah, and that's just where time comes to beat them, right? Chiefs weren't necessarily even losing the fight. At one point, they were up 4 versus 2. But when there's only 10 seconds left, you start to scramble. And that means you start to make some mistakes as you push towards site. You look to get the diffuser down. And that just makes things a little bit easier for the defensive team. Even though they're in a 2 versus 4 scenario, they're in position. All they have to do is get the kill onto the person who's holding the diffuser, and suddenly the round's over just like that. The one thing that I found a little bit odd, but I won't question too much, was the 1v1 over in washrooms with like 15 seconds left in the round. I'm just struggling to see what Digital's trying to gain there by killing Boydie in washrooms when there's like 10 seconds left. I mean, at that point, yes, maybe wants to get control of white stairs, I guess, try and make a rotate or something like that. Has to push through, of course, Boydie, but when there's 15 seconds left, the team's already made the switch elsewhere. You do have to question it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that was around about the same time I was sort of suggesting that the attack was a little bit disjointed, and that is a trend that has not really been the case for the Chiefs, at least in the last few weeks, where they've looked super coordinated, in sync with everything they're doing. Like, they're targeting a specific player here or there, and they're dedicating a lot of resources into doing that and doing it well, whereas that round came down to a lot of weird 1v1s, really separated a long way away, no one really ganging up on particular defenders, for example. And sure, Digital did, of course, win that one in the end, but with the time trickling down so far, it didn't really have much of an impact. If anything, Boydie honestly could have just fallen off and he would have had Vert, would have been able to punch the Vert even if he needed to. So, look, it was just a disappointing round there for the Chiefs. And if they do need to attack that objective or clear above later into the map, that could be concerning for them, as Roffle are doing a really good job at just running default setups. Again, it was nothing crazy. Sure, you don't have the mirror band off, which does make it a little bit more difficult, but even still, teams have played with mirror on the board before. They should be expecting that.
And I feel like that round in particular, both teams actually had some good moments and some bad moments. For the most part, the ability for Chiefs with 1 minute and 10 seconds left in the round to adapt on the fly, to change their approach, those are good signs. And it got them sort of back in the round, because I tell you what, if they had have just elected to continue to push that 3rd floor, try and get cocktail control, by the time they would have actually achieved that, guys, they probably have like 20-30 seconds left in the round. They would have had almost just about no utility left over. So I don't think that would have worked out well for them, and they actually gave themselves a pretty decent chance by adapting. And for RoflcopterGG's sake, the 3 players up on 3rd floor around that back store and cocktail area as well shows their aggressiveness at the forefront. They didn't get anything. They didn't do anything too crazy. We didn't see anyone over at Pixel, for instance, or anyone over towards Lounge and any crazy shenanigans like that. And that's what surprises me. Why it took Chiefs so long to even just get like top red. Like, I think there was like 1.5 minutes left before they actually got down the hatch.
Yeah, I think part of that may have been they're a little bit scared of OJ, remember? Because he was playing quite aggressively inside of Train and Mining, and they knew that on the rappellers they were going up to the roof. I think it was Gold Legion and someone else on that side of the map, and they were aware of that. And maybe they just got a little bit too scared of it, didn't want to try and clear him out, risking the early pick to the Nitro Cell, which, is fair enough. If you do lose that early pick, particularly if it would have been Gold Legion, that would not have gone down very well, considering he's off to a little bit of a rough start. But maybe they need to bring someone to counter that a little bit harder, maybe like a Lion to stop that Pulse from being able to move around and gather intels freely. Maybe if you want a hard counter, bring an IQ although again, it might not be super effective. It is just a nuisance that they'll have to deal with, but they should have known this because Roffle, I am 99% sure, were playing very similar to this yesterday. So Chiefs have the VODs and they should have known what to expect heading into this map.
Yeah, and even if they don't have the VODs, they should have been watching live, you would have to say, to see who they were going to be potentially playing. You mentioned, obviously, God Legion. I'll bring him up here. I think 0-3 this game. Not off to the best start. And it's not about him as an individual, but it's about what he brings to the team. And usually in the last couple of weeks, definitely towards the end of the regular seasons for both OCN and APAC South, he's been the main man. He's been their top fragger. He's been the guy that's getting entry kills and getting them off to good starts into the rounds. And so far, hasn't been able to do that tonight. But the good news is the rest of his team is actually kind of helping him out by standing up when he's not playing at his best.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why the Chiefs are performing so well at the moment. Historically, when one of their key fraggers hasn't really been showing up, it's normally a sign that the rest of the team is struggling a little bit. And I think a sign of any good team is when one player is finding it a little bit difficult on a particular map or on a particular day, that the rest of the team can still step up to the table and account for that. And they're doing that so far. I mean, sure, it's 2-2, it's pretty close, but this is Roffle's map pick, right? So as long as the Chiefs just hang in there and put up a good fight, and again, don't get too out of it mentally, there's a chance they bring this back in the series anyway. So map 1, not a massive concern here, and provided that Gold Legion bounces back and the rest of the team continues to perform, then they really shouldn't be in that dangerous of a position.
As it is, of course, 2-2 at the moment in this rehost. There's not too many rounds to go in this first half. Where do you sort of see it shaping up? Only 2 rounds left, guys. In the order Roflcopter matchup, it was a 4-2 defensive half for Roflcopter. They're on the defense. It's 2-2. It kind of insinuates that they can't really drop many more rounds here if they're going to win out here on Cafe.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the next round, we're probably expecting Roffle to go back to Kitchen, which is the round they last one on their defense. From memory, the Chiefs struggled on the roam clear, I think it was, right, where they took a long time and then didn't really have much to work with late rounds. So the Chiefs will need to improve upon that. And based off the last round, maybe that will be a struggle that plagues them in the final 2 attacks, because for whatever reason, they are gathering this intel, and in the rounds that they're not winning, it's more often than not that they're not enacting upon that fast enough and capitalizing on the roam game and shutting down those players who are being able to rotate quite freely. And Cafe is a map where you only have 3 main rotations, provided that you don't blow any hatches, which typically on a Kitchen defense at least you wouldn't, right? So they should be able to shut that down. Maybe the Nomad ban is coming back to bite the Chiefs a little bit, remembering that they were the ones that took it off the board. But again, when the switches flip over, they'll be able to play into that, I guess. So it shouldn't be the biggest of issues for them to worry about at the moment.
For the Chiefs, though, of course, looking pretty good here on Cafe. They haven't got the best record, as the boys mentioned in the pre-show, coming into the map. Last time they played it out was in APAC South League. They got destroyed by Elevate on it 7-2. But they're holding their own here at the beginning stages of this match. And I got to say, my own personal opinion on this is if Chiefs win Cafe, I feel like it's just going to be a strong 2-0 with them taking out Villas. So good signs early on for the Chiefs. We'll see if they can compound on this and really look to get away from Roflcopter, especially if they can finish off this attacking half, either 3-3 or even maybe 4-2. One player, though, that needs to get back into the game a bit is God Legion. He is the one to keep an eye on for. We've had the rehost. So, I mean, I guess he doesn't look as bad now, guys, but we know he's still on a donut.
Yeah, I think that's why God Legion called for the rehost, right? He just wanted to eliminate the stats so they don't exist, but unfortunately for him, our memories aren't that bad. Extension again here from Roflcopter here, so they're going to play into this roam game. Again, Mute Mozzie being brought to the board to make the lives of the Chiefs a little bit more tricky in finding these roamers, and of course Boydie on the Vigil can play quite freely. We saw previously Roffle on the top floor rotating back down, and their utility placement here, at least from Campo, would suggest that they're going to do the same.
Yeah, they had one around that cocktail top white area, and then even the Vigil. I think it was Boydie sitting just on the edge of bar. Didn't really sit there for too long, though. Certainly was not a permanent hold, and I don't think this will be a permanent hold again. You can see a bit of pressure early on up there. Again, just forcing that top-down clear that Chiefs need to do. And I'm trying to think back to the last time we saw this and where it went wrong for Chiefs. And I think in the end, it just comes down to time management. They're just going to be a little bit quicker, especially with this third floor. Just really sweep through this third floor. Roflcopter are going to just get off it pretty quickly, right? They're not going to hard commit to it. They are going to drop back down to the second floor. That's where they're going to do their primary extension hold. Got to do this third floor clear quite a bit quicker.
Gold Legion and Vast swiftly take Lounge, pop the hatch, and look to gain intel. Boydie has been tracked there by the Jackal, but has assistance on White Stairs from Campo. So Ruffle are playing off one another on the road, which is awesome to see, and are setting themselves up nicely to refrag if required. Dangerous signs if you're the Chiefs. This Digital creates Vert to cut off a rotation inside of Fireplace. Worthy, meanwhile, off screen finds Hot Shot. So that is the mute taken off the board, and I'm not even entirely sure where that was, but nonetheless, it's a good pick, and the Chiefs are now starting to take control of the map halfway through.
Somewhere down below, I don't think a hot shot would have been too far from kitchen site. Fast going to see what he can find now, and it is going to be the Vigil. Boydie, minute 17 seconds left, and this is a very stark contrast to what we saw last time out for the kitchen site. Getting this dining hatch opened up extraordinarily easily and early into the round. Bouncing, getting a kill onto Vast, though, it does change things up a little bit. Last time out, of course, the C4 play definitely drew our attention.
Oh, he's on the top floor.
Bouncing gets God Legion. He's all the way up on third floor.
I don't know how they let him rotate, but he gets shut down there by Fisho, so it's not a bad trade in the end, but the damage has already been done. That said, Vast's utility probably not going to be super useful late round as he used it on the roam clear and Gold Legion. Look, he's been having a rough one so far. They still have plenty of utility attack, lots of nades and smokes as they go for the drop.
Fisher got into freezer now after getting that kill. 3 versus 3, 25 seconds left into the smoke. Looking for the plant. There's a player literally on the other side of the shelf, and that's going to be the easiest kill for Campo. Is down, at least there's a refrag. But the work's still to be done for the Chiefs here to capitalize. Digital lost on alive. How many times is he in this scenario? Usually on the defense, though, but this time on the attack, and he can't make anything work. Roflcopter will take the lead here on Cafe, 3-2.
Once again, well done there from Ruffle. Many players off-site, mid and late round, proving costly for the Chiefs. We saw Bounce somehow maneuver himself to the top floor and find a couple of picks before being traded out. Unfortunately, Fisho was still on the top floor, so deep into the round to find that one. Then, of course, we had a player inside of VIP late from Ruffle, again executing a flank and doing damage to the wounded Chiefs deep in towards site. I think Ruffle are now positioning themselves nicely to take the 4-2 lead, and again, that would probably be on par with what we're expecting here in OCN.
Oh, the Lion 6 pick off of Diana. Haven't really seen much success from Diana so far, at least nothing too much from the Gemini, so a little bit more information gathering now on the Lion, and might just give us an inkling, guys, that Chiefs may look to be a little bit more aggressive with their attacks, utilizing the EE1D. But Roflcopter so far, 1 round to go in the half, and it just feels like they're 1 round away from really securing that 4-2, the ultimate half that they needed to have if they're going to beat the Chiefs on Cafe. So close to achieving it. A 3-3 half may not actually be enough for Roflcopter to hold on for Chiefs' defense. Of course, we won't know until we get to that second half, but it just puts a lot of emphasis on how important this final round of the half is going to play out for both teams.
Yeah, and Ruffle taking a little bit of a calculated risk in this last round. The only objectives they could choose was between mining Fireplace, which they elected to go to, or Bar and Cocktail, which they already have lost twice. And I say it's a bit of a calculated risk because most teams don't really like going to this site. That said, it doesn't get a whole lot of playtime, and that can often favor the defense, simply because the attack doesn't get a lot of experience playing against it in officials. And I think, passing my mind back, one of the teams last year that were really strong on this side, and Vinny can probably attest to this, was actually Wildcard that brought it to the table a couple of times, and teams just looked absolutely lost trying to pick that defense apart. So Ruffle here definitely have stratted this out, and I'm keen to see if the Chiefs can deal with what they've set up.
Yeah, and the pressure's on the Chiefs here in this final round. It's up to them to make something happen, and see if they can claim their king status, because that's the feeling coming into the final day, that they're the kings of OCN at the moment. Of course, still to get through nights, but Roflcopter taking it up to them, at least here on Cafe. Not too surprising considering it is their map pick and they are on the defense first. So expectations do have to be measured slightly. Hot shot with a cheeky peek, white stairs. Not going to find the pick though. There's the first EE1D. Not too much does come from it though. Oh, the foot though has been spotted by Worthy, unable to take it off. Just clipped his toes and gave him a manicure. Minute and a half remaining, but again, from what we're seeing, it is slow, methodical. Vast pushing into Cocktail, catches bouncing balls, advantage Chiefs. They're still going to get down to the second floor. Campo falls back, but the Chiefs should now have control of Cocktail and start to get their vert game going.
A lot better work there from the Chiefs. They pronged the attack from White Hallway and the repel, which really didn't leave Roffle a whole lot of space there inside of Cocktail. And with that control now, of course, they can establish vert with the likes of Digital and the Sledgehammer and begin to displace defenders on site. You can see Boydie looking erratic, trying to make sure he doesn't get picked from above. He gets droned as well from pillars. The pressure starting to mount here on Roffle, and it's up to the Chiefs to try and convert this into some sort of site control.
There's still 6 drones available for Chiefs, so they're going to be able to find a lot of information. Not only that, but they have an EE1D available through Worthy. So this is shaping up to be a Chiefs win, unless Roflcopter can hit their shots as Chiefs start to push onto the site. So much of this floor has now been opened up, but there's a sight line. It goes against Digital. It's a two-edged sword. That Sledge sometimes. Campo, though, with a quick kill onto Vars. 3 versus 3 with only 20 seconds left. Fisher Guy, diffuser in hand. Boydie with a big pick, though, on the Worthy. And now, all of a sudden, Roflcopter have turned the tide here. They are in control, but for how much longer?
Oh.
God Legion has returned to the server. 1 versus 1, 5 seconds left. Fisher Guy forced to stick the plant, and he should get it down before Campo makes it over. Surely, Campo hasn't got a lot of health either. Fisher Guy just has to stand up, hit a shot, and he does do just that for the Chiefs. Clutch moment, clutch round, clutch Chiefs.
Well, it's 3-3 as we come back from the break, and the Chiefs, at least statistically, some may say, have a slight edge now heading into the favoured side of defence here on Cafe. That last round, Gold Legion stepping up, massively fighting multiple picks, and then Fisher Guy sticking the plant, swinging wide and winning the 1v1 in the end. That'll pump up the Chiefs heading in to the half, and Roffle now need to try and respond on their map pick.
Yeah, and what's not good news for Roflcopter is that God Legion's back. He's just gone off in that last round with a quick triple kill, got them back into the round. Fisher Guy then ended up finishing off God Legion's great work. So really good team synergy from the Chiefs. Big round to win. They tie it up 3-3. And as you said, now in the second half, statistically the favored team on the defensive Cafe, which is of course Roflcopter's map pick. So ties have turned a little bit. Now it's up to Roflcopter to attest that and see if they can bring it back into their favor and see if they can do that on their attack. And they're electing to actually go with the line and the Yana. So I wonder if it's going to be quick, aggressive plays from Roflcopter.
Maybe that could be the play. Cheeky extension from the Chiefs are inside of shop. We can see God Legion playing that position. Doesn't have the FO12 shotgun in hand, but the Scorpion is of course a fantastic weapon, extremely high rate of fire, and despite the recoil being a little bit insane, at that sort of range, it won't really matter too much. This will be a key part of the defense and a real test of Roffle's ability to clear utility.
And it's up to Chiefs, though, to waste a lot of time of Roflcopter. Make it difficult for them to just push in blindly. Minimize the use that Gemini can be used as well from Campo. And don't allow them to get much footing, especially around this top red area. Make it difficult for them to even just be standing there. Campo Guy going to throw out the drone, just check down that second floor. Still 2 minutes on the clock. God Legion, though, very close by. Quick headshot and says, hello, welcome to our defense here on Cafe. He has the shield as well for protection. No one's going to be pushing with that one. The E1D followed by a second drop down. But God Legion playing so aggressive here, which you love to see from the Chiefs here on their defense.
Campo, instead of sending out a Gemini, decides to face check that angle and gets punished by Gold Legion, who's also being droned out. But Vast is there alongside to support. No one watching the hatch as well to cut off that rotation, as multiple players from the attack have already dropped down. Worthy with the C4 connects and finds Hotshot, and Rofl really, really struggling to deal with only the first hurdle, really, of this defense.
Oh, OJ not going to stay alive there, but they got the pinch together. So God Legion goes down, but that's the round. Great start for the Chiefs here on their defense and taking it right up to the faces of Roflcopter.
Rofl really struggling to approach that defensive setup. It was aggressive from the Chiefs, but it pays off. I think in future, if Rofl want to try and take that on, they probably need to firstly obtain control below, as there were angles from inside of train watching all the way up to the hatch drop and the walk-in of the red wall, which we saw at the very end there with OJ taken down. Outside of that, maybe using their intel gathering a little bit more efficiently. I think it was challenging though, right? Because Fisho was playing those mute jammers super aggressively as well. So in the end, it was a really nice stronghold there from the Chiefs, and Rofl really did try and just take it head on, and clearly did not work.
And it just really highlights how much work Roflcopter's going to have to do here on their attack. Going up against the Chiefs, not going to be easy. And if the Chiefs are playing like that, and they're playing comfortable and controlled and looking to add a bit of aggression to their defense, it just makes things 10 times more difficult for Roflcopter. And they know that it's going to be like charging in towards a brick wall. There are vulnerabilities if Chiefs look to over-aggress and get caught out, which we've seen plenty of times, especially in the APAC region. You know, sometimes we've seen it on maps like Clubhouse, where Chiefs may be roaming around. If they're playing Church Arsenal, but they're above on second floor, they lose a couple of players, and it really then opens up the round, and it opens up their defense. So Chiefs are going to be careful that they don't over-aggress and give an avenue for Roflcopter into the rounds.
Positive signs for the Chiefs, though, I think, so far in map 1. And as the desk touched on briefly before, this core roster has struggled previously, not only in making playoffs, but also converting playoffs positions as well, right? Remember last year in OCN, they entered in and they bombed out, finishing 5th to 6th and lost to LFO. Definitely not one of the stronger teams in the league. So they're putting at least in a good performance in here against Rofl's map pick, as the attack tries to take control of Bakery, bouncing inside of Kochek, does find the first. Worthy caught off guard, and now it's up to Fisho to try and hold the fort behind Whiskey.
It's like Worthy just ran straight into the barrel of Bouncer. I think even Bouncer was a little bit surprised as to what just happened. E1D, Campo looking to just clear the Banshee, and does so. 2 minutes on the clock, and it's actually looking pretty decent now for Roflcopter.
Rotation's being held here, and it's OJ to get a pick, make it 2. Digital taken down in towards the side. It's falling apart here for the Chiefs. God Legion over towards red will need to go massive. Fisho can stall out with the smoke canisters, but only for so long. There's a player inside of Prep. He hits the flick, but he needs to find 4 more.
Not going to do that. Roflcopter, too many, too strong. Bit of a lackluster round, if I'm going to be completely honest there, Guz. From the defense of the Chiefs, didn't really offer much, especially in comparison to the round prior that we saw, you know, with the aggression above. That was just quite timid. Didn't help that they lost Worthy really early on in the round as well, and Roflcopter capitalized perfectly. They didn't rush it, they didn't get overzealous, played pretty calm, cool, collected, and they tied up 4-4. And this is what the Chiefs don't want. They don't want to go back and forth with Roflcopter, especially on the Chiefs defense. They can't allow Rofl to get anywhere close to a match point scenario. They're going to get some separation here if they're going to look to close out Cafe as we head over to Reading Fireplace for this 9th round.
There were some good signs for Rofl in that last round. They lent into their willingness to play aggressive and quickly rush for map control. And whilst it may not work all the time, it did, at least on that occasion, catch off guard the likes of Worthy inside of Kochek. And then from there, they really didn't have any breathing room to try and recover in that round. And picks just began to fall as the lines of sight exposed the players holding down inside of the objective.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
I think it's up to the Chiefs to try and counteract that aggression by denying map entry and map control, right? We saw it in their previous defense where they controlled shop quite aggressively, and whilst that may not be very advisable on a reading defense, they can at least try and replicate something similar over towards Cocktail.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You're not going to want to replicate that here, but you can still be aggressive in just different avenues, different positions. You can see that with God Legion's positioning right now over towards Bar. How long he's going to hold there, though, well, remains to be seen. I think there was a player over towards washrooms as well. Oh, that's the Gemini.
Bomb located by attackers.
Sometimes you just skip a beat when you do see the Gemini making their way in. Like that. Yeah, and there is a play over towards White Corridor as well. So that's going to be the fallback there for God Legion. Back over towards Cocktail. Doesn't really get too much, but it still just puts the thought into the minds of RoflcopterGG there that Chiefs are aggressive. They're in your face. That they're going. We have to check every corner, and it just slows down their push towards site.
Come out wherever you are. I found us a target.
The first of the E1Ds rains down, and Vast is caught in a peculiar position over towards Pixel. It's an important part of the map to hold, or at least burn time. He lands a shot there onto Campo, but it doesn't find the head. Campo decides to fall off, and I would assume that Vast will fall off pretty soon here and try and support Gold Legion back towards Cocktail, where he can rotate towards site.
And is this starting to sort of replicate what we saw from Chiefs attack when they just gave up on this Cocktail push, and they just decided to go down red stairs and actually go for that horizontal push? It seems like RoflcopterGG are going for that same approach here now. Bouncing, pushing over to Pillars. Nice swing. We'll catch up. Fisher Guy getting that opening frag once again. Still a player above. That's God Legion at Bar. And they have to clear him out if they're going to be able to keep control of Pillar's area. God Legion's going to lose this battle, though. He drops down, and there is that player again. Bouncing, watching and waiting for him to fall down. RoflcopterGG playing that so well. 50 seconds left in the round, and they've got a 2-kill advantage. Looking to now take the round advantage if they can close out here.
4 drones left for RoflcopterGG to try and gain intel in towards the site. Vast might try and retake above, but second guesses himself. So many players inside of Pillar. Digital does manage to find one, not traded back against the second. A player holding the angle on the white window, or the red window rather, is bouncing. He was explosive in this round, but finally shut down. Digital having a huge impact, and it's our OJ in the 1 versus 2.
It's doable. 15 seconds left. Doesn't have any E1Ds though remaining in a 2 versus 1, but did just pop it off. Oh, that's an easy kill for Worthy though. OJ had no idea. Just hugging that pillar. Chiefs win a much needed round considering where RoflcopterGG were at in that round. They were looking good. They had the 2-player advantage. They had plenty of time. And Chiefs collect themselves, get back into the round. Now they take a 5-4 lead. They edge closer to victory here on Cafe.
Like we saw from the Chiefs on their attempt, Roffle on the attack decided quite late that they'd go for a horizontal tag, and for the most part they did a good job at pinching the players above, but in the end they allowed the roamers to rotate too freely. The likes of Digital finding multiple picks there as everyone was stacked in towards Pillars, and it does feel like that Nomad ban from the Chiefs, whilst it proved costly on their own attacks when they couldn't cover their flanks, they are playing into it on their defense.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
And it just spices up a little bit here now as we get into the 10th round, 5 versus 4. And, well, I'm going to say it, this is just something that was missing in yesterday's matches, guys. It never really got down to these really close, pivotal moments. For the most part, RoflcopterGG were usually quite far ahead or in control of their matches. So for the first time in the playoffs, in the gauntlet run, they're behind. They're at a disadvantage. They're the underdogs. And it's the Chiefs that are in control. Can the Chiefs capitalize, or is RoflcopterGG going to extend their run even further? Of course, you got to remember, they've won their last 4 maps in a row. They haven't tasted defeat since the regular season. Is it about to happen here as we head upstairs to Bar Cocktail round 10?
Attackers are
Yeah, I think that's actually a really interesting point, right? If the Chiefs manage to win this, then Ruffle do experience their first loss in the playoffs, and it's up to them to try and bounce back. And not only will they need to bounce back for the first time in the playoffs, it's also going to be against the grain because they'll be playing Chiefs map pick second, so it only increases the difficulty factor. Meanwhile, in this round though, Worthy thinks about getting a little bit aggressive on the run out, but will elect to fall off. Maybe roam below and cause some issues for the attack. Interestingly enough here, the Chiefs not investing into the shop hold on this occasion. I mean, surprised they're not, but maybe they're expecting Ruffle to read into it if they had brought it.
It may just mean that God Legion's just going to fall off a lot quicker rather than fully commit. If you've got that shield, you've got those ADSs, you're going to tend to commit. And you can see he's going to actually play this bar position as well. So still playing aggressive, still has that same mindset. But as you said, just doing it a little bit differently. May backfire though. God Legion takes quite a few bullets into his buttocks there as he's just rotating. 2 minutes on the clock. That's not ideal for the Jaeger.
It's not the first time we've seen someone's butt on stream on Cafe in the playoffs, is it?
It's not.
Ruffle, though, pressuring this lounge location, and the player at Pixel will probably be the one under fire next. That's Vast. He had a big impact on the Pulse in the previous round, and he has a key role here in delaying this push. He's running the MP5 with the 1.5, so he has decent firepower to work with here, and Ruffle are being a little bit slow here in terms of their clear. More flashbangs are sent out to burn the ADS devices. I would have to assume that's followed up with Campo's Gone 6 or a nade quite shortly. It is. The shield is cleared. And despite not really having to do much with his gun, Vast did waste quite a bit of time with those magnets.
Yeah, they did commit a lot to that, though. Of course, there were my discs, and then on top of that, you got 3 ADSs sitting there. But the ADSs actually haven't been cleared yet. And of course, with the new changes, they're going to be active again, right? So it's not like the old ADSs that would have been burnt. So there's a minute left on the clock. I mean, obviously there's no Vulcan shield there anymore, so you're not really going to want to play that pixel position, but you can still be a nuisance there, and it can maybe still be difficult for Roflcopter to maybe flush someone out. If they're hanging around, say, washrooms, for instance, those ADSs will still prove to be difficult. Campo's going to go in with the Gemini, just get a little bit of intel into backstore, sees that shield. Fish Guy takes a bit of damage, but it's Campo who's going to be the first death of the round, and there's a lot of deaths to follow very quickly in quick succession. Rapid fire mode from the Chiefs. They just go bang, 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 and all of Roflcopter fall to the floor. It's match point for Chiefs here on Cafe.
Clean work there from the Chiefs in the late round, and Ruffle not doing enough to dislodge the defense and displace them the way they would have liked. And as they tried to run in towards the site, they were taken down. And very little window of opportunity given to get themselves back into this one. And with match point, I think that pressure really begins to mount, keeping in mind this was Ruffle's map pick, and I don't think it really looks much brighter on Villa.
No, and look, Villa's got its own different reasons as to why. I don't know if we extensively went over it. I know you sort of touched on it briefly, and I know you'll want to go even more in depth as to why Villa's going to be very Chiefs-sided. Obviously, we've got plenty of time to do that, though, when we get over there. For now, we still have to keep our attention over towards Cafe. Match point. And this is what the Chiefs need to do as well. Can't start casting their minds to the next map. Must stay true here.
What's the play here for Ruffle? Do they play aggressive like they did on their last attempt on this objective? Remember, they rushed in, took control of Coat Check, got the cupcake wall open, and from there found picks inside of Bakery. You'd have to assume that that's not going to work again, and the Chiefs will be on their toes, ready in anticipation for the early round rush. In which case, Ruffle will likely need to go for a top-down take, but as we can see, the Chiefs are investing utility above and reinforcements to try and slow that down.
And this is the first time Roflcopter are under the pressure, under the pump here in the playoffs. So how they respond will say a lot about this team. I mean, I've said it a couple of times in different matchups, but if you're down in this 6-4 environment and you can really force that OT, it says a lot about a team and being able to deal with that mental pressure that is upon them at the moment. And for Bouncer to just drop down top red and push through like this, obviously getting drone now through Pixel, and it is going to be this top clear. It says they're not scared. They're happy to take it up to the Chiefs. They're happy to just clear quickly, make sure they're not going to be low on time. Good live droning from Hot Shot just to enable this. So they've pretty much cleared that whole third floor in quick time. Although OJ gets picked very early on in the round by Worthy, that's going to make it even so much more difficult for RoflcopterGG here.
Worthy in a peculiar position over towards the red wall. There's a player at Pixel and the gunfight ensues. Neither player hitting their shot stone. Worthy getting pressured from the hatch, gets caught off guard. Can't rotate through that hole, and Boydie finds the headshot. It's our 4 versus 4, and Roffle with decent time management can begin to try and take second floor control. As we can see, it is being droned ahead by Hotshot, and I don't think he's really going to find anyone. I believe the Chiefs have defaulted back towards site for the most part.
It's not shaping up too badly for RoflcopterGG right now. There's a minute and a half, but they got the kill. They've already cleared third floor. Now they've got that vert control above kitchen. The Chiefs have really backed off. You can see all 4 players on this first floor, whether they're on site in kitchen or they're just a little bit off site. So there's an opportunity here now for RoflcopterGG. Gemini down into freezer, see what you can find, see what information and intel you can gather before the initial push later in about 40 seconds or so. So it's going to come down to that, 20-second push, guys, and then who can hit their shots.
Positions indicate that the Chiefs might want to play for a retake here. Could be wise considering the vert from above, but Digital's insight. He finds a C4 pick there on to Bounce, and that's a strong fragger taking down Campo at the Gon 6, looking to take control of VIP. Fisho with the last of his gas canisters looking to hold that position. Maybe if Boydie could find this, that could be the look in, and Roffle could maybe think about a freezer drop.
Yeah, and Fisher guy's out of gas canisters, so this VIP position is quite vulnerable. And the shield's gone as well, so there's nothing really helping Fisher guy in this position in VIP, other than just obviously watching the cross. And he can actually see the sightline of the freezer drop from here. But he's got to be careful. There's a player swing from white stairs that get in his face. He doesn't know this. He doesn't have this information. Boyd is eliminated by Vasto. This is looking very good for the Chiefs. 1 kill away from moving on to Villa. Campo's the sole remaining player, but he doesn't have the diffuser, and he's not even going to get an opportunity. God Legion shuts him down, walking into kitchen. This is their site. This is their map. This is the Chiefs in the playoffs, and they've come to play.
The Chiefs win it in the end. I mean, it wasn't their map pick, and that does not bode well for RoflcopterGG, who lose their first map in the playoffs for stage 1 of OCN. But the Chiefs proving their recent form is dominant, and they keep it up.
Yeah, the Chiefs are looking good. As you said, not their map pick, but it's their map now, and that's all that matters. 7-4 in the end. A little bit convincing, guys, from the Chiefs, especially as we said and painted the picture in that first half that it was going to come down to winning your defensive sites. That's what Chiefs were able to do to get that 3-3 half. Had they not been able to get that, who knows where they would have been going into the second half if RoflcopterGG took an advantage. They didn't, and in the end, Chiefs capitalized on their own defense quite extensively. One player, though, I want to really touch on, Digital. What a performance there to be able to pop off. God Legion was quite shaky, quiet, rusty a little bit in this matchup. Others were able to stand up and fill that void. And then once God Legion started to get back into the rounds, since that rehost, basically, I feel like that was like a clearing his stats moment. He popped off, and then from there, the Chiefs really just didn't look back.
100%. Again, when you have one member of the team that's not maybe performing at their best, it's important that the rest of the team steps up, and in this case, that did ring true. That said, let's be honest, the Roffle did not play bad at all, I don't think, in this matchup. And for the most part, all of their players really were stepping up when required. I think the Chiefs maybe just a little bit better coordinated, a little bit more experience on that team, keeping in mind that a lot of these players have been around for a long time, at least in comparison to Roffle. And it did show in the end, they get their opponent's map pick, and it sets them up really nicely in the BO3.
Well, that's as you said, best of 3, right? So there's still opportunities for Roffle, but it will be serious point from here onwards for the Chiefs. They are now 1 map away from setting up the big grand final against the Knights. They're going to have to go to Villa. We're going to throw it back over to the desk, though, so they can dissect the match on Cafe first.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Entertaining cast, I must say, especially in that rehost. You poor buggers. Got it good and fine. Proper work being done here. Vinny, as we look forward, rather we can look back a little bit. RoflcopterGG just not having the game we may have hoped for.
I mean, I think it was kind of the game we expected in terms of the way that Chiefs were able to set the pace very early and you know, win these rounds out on their attacks. 3-3 half for them is pretty impressive on Cafe at the moment. It's a map that's been fairly defender-sided recently. I think the problem with Roffle was kind of the way that they went back into their shell after they lost a few rounds, specifically on their defenses. It seemed like when they were the aggressive team and they were the ones getting the opening picks, they were much more successful. I think it'll show a bit later in the stats the way the entries went down. But yeah, I was talking a bit with Dev earlier during the game that when Roffle get the opening pick, they're a team that really likes to snowball that lead rather than keep man advantage. And I think a team like Chiefs can get caught off guard with that. And I think looking forward, that's kind of the way that Roffle will want to play. They'll want to really push that aggression, to another level, not go back in their shells and force the tempo on Chiefs back on them.
And Dev, we swapped halves and Roflcopter only able to find one successful round out of, what, 4 or 5 attempts?
Yeah, I think that's the real, I think you've done a good job, Vinny, of highlighting some of the things that Roflcopter could have done better on their defense, but at the end of the day, they still won half of their defense rounds, which is a lot more than can be said for their attack half, where they only won 1 out of 5. And I think that we're starting to see a bit of a pattern develop here for Roflcopter. Like yesterday, for example, on an attacker-sided map like Coastline, they still really struggled to win their attacks. And I think that that's kind of the hole in their strategy at the moment, in their gameplay. If they can pick that up, I totally think that they can be, a top 3, even of top 2 team in Oceania.
Yeah, so the boys were highlighting, I think it was Guz that was highlighting God Legion, bit quiet early on, and obviously coming back into the fray. Vinny, how important is it for every team member to kind of be pulling their weight in this meta?
Yeah, I spoke a little bit earlier about Gold Legion and his kind of inconsistent form, but he picked it up after a pretty shaky start, and I think that showed with the pretty dominant second half for Chiefs. Worthy again was super consistent, as we were talking about earlier, 10 and 6, +2 on the entry, and an 82% cost. That's like, you can't ask for much more from one of your entry players, and again, ever consistent from him.
Yeah, Dev, we head to Villa next. This is a little bit concerning for Roflcopter, who, up until now, haven't dropped a single map.
Yeah, definitely. If you put it in that perspective, through the playoffs, 2-0 Order, 2-0 Bliss, and here they've dropped their first map. A bit concerning for them, yeah, for sure. I think that Chiefs, like Vinny, you had predicted the whole time, they are very much in form. You already highlighted Worthy. And the other player I want to mention is Fisher Guy. He actually had the highest cost in the whole game. Despite playing that support role, he was consistently, doing his part. And even though he was negative on the entries, he actually had some really fine moments. For example, a 1v1 clutch to round out their attack half. And as we'd already mentioned, the fact that Chiefs managed to keep 3 for 3 on their attacks was really instrumental there. As we go to Villa, the only saving grace here for Roflcopter is that it's a bit of a wild card in that we don't have much information about them. In fact, from the stats that I've got, Villa has been banned 9 times, picked 0 times, played 0 times. So I actually have no results. We have no idea what they look like on this map. And same can be said for Chiefs, right? They have no idea what Roflcopter are going to bring to the table here. And on the flip side of that, last time Chiefs have played this, it hasn't been so fantastic. They lost to 7-8 to Rhythm. So I think it's cheeky from Chiefs to pick this, and I'm sure they have a good game plan, but there is a possible weakness there to exploit.
It's a bit concerning, honestly. It doesn't really look like it's favoring anyone in particular. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a short break. On the other side, this could be the end of Roflcopter's gauntlet. Don't you go anywhere.
chasing the night, chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay. Locked in love for a night or two, losing sleep just to get off you. Day to day you wanna stay out, you're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the light, chasing the night, chasing the night. Chasing the night, holding on for life, feeling the high. Chasing the night, holding on for life, feeling the high. Chasing the night, chasing the night. I was dancing on my own when you spilled that rum and coke on my t-shirt. Yeah, your eyes made it difficult to get my baby. And the next thing I knew, we were so ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline. Ooh, you give me that high pitch feel, baby. We shared a cigarette by East Versailles. The way you looked at me, couldn't say goodbye. And whatever you did to make it stop, 'cause baby you make me feel something.
This could be huge. Manning is to fight them.
Well, it would indeed seem that it is Roflcopter that are running out of time. They are currently down in the series, and now we head to Villa. I don't know whether we can tell the story of Roflcopter just yet on a comeback train when this map is just so unknown, Dev.
Certainly is. Roflcopter have had a fantastic run through the playoffs gauntlet bracket so far, but this may be where it ends for them. They've dropped their first map of the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
And Villa, obviously being Chiefs' map pick, does put Roflcopter on the back foot. We know nothing about them. They've always banned this map. They've never played it. And I think that this might be the point we start to see the cracks in the armor for Roflcopter. Their map pool just might not be strong enough for a best of 3 against Chiefs.
Vinny, them not playing it, does that make them dangerous? I mean, as a player, when you see a team kind of consistently banning out a particular map, does that make it a little bit of an unknown, or do you feel more comfortable going into it?
Yeah, it's a 50-50 in that regard. I think seeing that they insta-banned Chalet first kind of would give me a bit of confidence. I think seeing them ban Villa throughout the whole season would give me confidence. I think they haven't worked on the map as much, or they're not as confident. Otherwise, they would have taken it, to some of the stronger teams. In saying that, though, they could have worked on it over the season. They might have been keeping it in the back pocket. But I think we're going to see a Chiefs 2-0 here. They looked really strong on Cafe. I don't think Rofl are really able to keep up with those really methodical attacks unless they get aggressive early and get those opening picks.
So that's your win condition for them, Vinny. They have to be aggressive here.
Yeah, that's their play style, and that's what they kind of fall back on when they're struggling. But I think that needs to be the play style from the get-go and really set the pace.
Dev, you got a devil's advocate to play here, or are you on that train?
Look, against Order, Roflcopter actually were losing a lot of their opening engagements, and Order was often having that early man advantage, but Roflcopter was just really good on their trades and their re-aggression. It's something that we talked about, right? On the last desk, Vinny, you mentioned that Roflcopter is one of those teams where once they find an opening, they're actually going to try and make that avalanche rather than play the man advantage. I think that also just gives a nod to their playstyle as well. And yeah, I agree. I think that's a win condition for them. Even if they're not necessarily finding the opening picks, they need to bite back. They need to make sure that they don't let Chiefs play their own game. Because I think Chiefs is one of those teams where if you leave them to their own devices, they're just going to manhandle the whole server.
Well, it sounds like we have our win conditions sorted, and it's Roflcopter's game because, in all honesty, it looks like they are certainly running out of time. I'm going to throw it over to Xenox and Guz to run you through what could be the final map here of this round 3. Enjoy.
Geez, you're going in a little bit early there, Manic, but hey, I'm on the same side as you. It could very well be the final map, of course. And look, the fact is, it's all against Roflcopter, right? We're going over to Villa, Guz. Chiefs are favored. Chiefs looks really good on Cafe. Chiefs are just generally the favored team in general. So it is going to be a very difficult task for Roflcopter. Do you sense there's any chance that they've got what it takes?
There is an inkling of hope. I think there's still a question mark over whether or not either of these teams are really that good at the map because we don't have a whole lot to go off. And I guess on the side of the Chiefs, they managed to lose to Rhythm during the regular season. So that is a little bit concerning. But I think their recent form should carry them through this map and ultimately win them the series.
Yeah, I can't really sort of fault you there. And look, I think we set the expectation at the start of the day, didn't we? When every single person on the prediction panel did elect, of course, to choose the Chiefs. I thought maybe there'd be one sneaky Roflcopter in there, considering the journey that they've had throughout the gauntlet so far. But their journey through the gauntlet may be coming to an end. They've got to win Villa here to keep their playoffs alive. Otherwise, Chiefs will set up that tantalizing grand final against the Knights. Let's get through Villa first. Chiefs will begin the bans.
I'm excited to jump into some Villa. We haven't seen a whole lot of it in OCN. And in fact, both of these teams historically have liked to ban it out quite a bit. I know it's your favorite map, Xenox, so I'm sure you're keen to jump in to this one. Thatcher taken off the board first here by the Chiefs, and that's not too unexpected on most maps these days, particularly ones like Villa, and a hard breach to follow that up from Roffle, trying to make things a little bit trickier on the attack, of course, the site in which they are starting.
I was going through my stats before as well to see how much of an issue Villa may be for Roflcopter. They haven't played it for at least a long time, guys, and so much so that it's not actually on the match tracker, so it doesn't bode well for Roflcopter. But it's not as if Villa is this staple of the Chiefs. We haven't really seen too much of them. In fact, the last time they played it, they lost to Rhythm, so they are vulnerable. It is not going to be the impossible map for Roflcopter to win. Get off to a good start, get some pressure, get some rounds on the board, and there's a chance they can take it to the Chiefs. Valkyrie banned out, no surprises there. Pretty stock standard bans here on Villa as we head into round number 1 of map number 2 of this best of 3.
So as I mentioned earlier, the Chiefs played Villa once during the regular season of OCN in stage 1. It was a 7-8 loss to Rhythm, and in that match, both Thatcher and Valk were banned off the board, so some parallels in that regard. Can't even remember that match that vividly, but it would have to be a little bit of a concern that they lost that against one of the teams that didn't even make it into the playoffs. But particularly early in the season, the Chiefs we regarded as being quite inconsistent, and at least in the last week or two, they've completely flipped that on its head and are looking like one of, if not maybe the strongest team in OCN currently. So I think we're going to see a different team to what we saw on that outing.
Yeah, and you're right. It's also a different time. It might be the same map, but it's also different Chiefs. As the season has gone on and we get to the pointy end, the Chiefs have just picked up the pace a little bit. They kind of shot out of the blocks, begin stage 1, then went a little cold for a bit. In the mid sections of the stage, both in APAC, both in OCN. But boy, have they come home strong. Looking like arguably the best team in the region at times in this finish to the seasons.
5 seconds left.
And we'll set up a strong matchup against the Knights, provided they can win here on Villa. Starting on the defense first, RoflcopterGG on the attack, and they're going to have to bring a decent attack if they are to beat the Chiefs.
A minor misplay there from Worthy in Sheets, failing to find Bouncing's drone. And had he have taken that down, Roffle only would have had 7 to work with during the round, which obviously not ideal in their drone economy, rather. Fast looking to get quite aggressive off site here, maybe trying to hunt down some drones or hunt down any potential entries. He will need to be mindful, of course, though. Bouncing, as he does find a drone, is playing the Jackal, and that will assist in the roam clear, and the likes of Vast and even Digital down below. God Legion as well will all need to be careful.
God Legion finding the opening pick. Good signs individually for God Legion, who got off to a slow start on Cafe before clawing his way back into it towards the latter stages of the map. The other thing to note as well is between these two teams, the opening pick has been generally a good indicator in terms of winning the round at about an 80% rate between the correlation of the opening pick and winning a round. Good start for the Chiefs, and it just hinders the RoflcopterGG attack here on after for the remainder of this round. And taking the Jackal off the board, that also being Bouncing. Huge pickup.
Yeah, Boydie down below trying to clear the utility on the wall here, placed down by the Chiefs. It is, of course, the Electro Claws from Worthy, and finding those from below can sometimes be a little bit tricky, but I think he's done a good job in taking those down, and that will allow Hot Shot on Habana to come across and open up the wall using X-Kairos. Digital inside of bathroom maybe could swing and deny, but that would obviously be pretty risky. He goes for it. Camp on the window surely shuts him down, but Digital gets away, and a potential trade there from Roffle goes begging.
There's only 3 drones roughly in play here as well, because Bouncing Balls is dead and he had 2 still in his pocket. So with a minute to go, not many drones available to gain further intel. OJ just going to throw the flash through to clear out these ADSs. Let's get a couple. OJ, spotting the head of Fisher guy. A pixel, an inch, and that's all that is needed at times. And with 35 seconds left, it's an avenue forward for RoflcopterGG, unless Worthy can stop this entry from Master Bedroom.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Surely Worthy gets taken down here, but how much utility will it take and how long? Nate does a little bit of damage, but it doesn't quite drop him as Vast gets his second in the round, and now Boydie and Campo need to link up over towards Astro. It's going to be a tough entry. Campo gets the first, though. Digital gets swung as well. I think potentially it's a 2 versus 1. It is. Campo, though, he's stuck inside of the Banshee. The defense, of course, is retaking Master as well, and Worthy will clean up the final pick. He plays with the kit, and the Chiefs take the round.
I mean, geez, you've got to say for Campo, there's some nice shots there, but all for naught in the end. Outside of just feeling himself a little bit going into these rounds, can sort of try and build off of that round from an individual perspective. Yeah, look at this pixel from OJ. And I thought for a second it would have got RoflcopterGG back into the round. Campo's, I would have loved to see that one from Campo's perspective as well. I'm not sure why Digital didn't get a little bit more aggressive there, maybe swing to get the retrade, but nonetheless, Chiefs win the round. Good start on Villa. And as we now head over to Aviator Games for this second round.
Attackers need to locate.
First time we'll see AVG played here as the Chiefs successfully defend round 1, and similar attacking lineup here from Roffle would probably suggest they'll go for a map sweep from the northern side and utilize the likes of the Yana and the Jackal to gain information and map control. Stronghold as well here on the opposite side of the Chiefs on Brown Stairs will make that a tricky point of entry, and they're even extending all the way over to the likes of Stat and Trophy. So whichever way Roffle decide to approach the map and approach the objective, they will be met with some resistance.
5 seconds left before insertion. Attackers are moving.
The big thing I do want to see here from the Chiefs is, are they going to put pressure vertically? Are they going to have someone down below, making it difficult to open up those floors and get those sight lines from below? Or is this just going to be a full horizontal defensive setup for the Chiefs? At the moment, it is seeming that way. As I said before, extending over to Stat Trophy. And Bouncing's the big one, though, at least for the side of Roflcopter. Losing him early in the last round minimizes the effect of being able to, of course, clear out, spot those tracks, find those players, get that information. On top of the fact that Bouncing himself has been playing so well individually. Hotshot's going to live drone him in. And we'll see if Bouncing can have an impact here in round number 2.
OJ as well, above, taking swift control of bedroom and needs to be mindful of trophy. I think that player has dropped down though, as nades, or flashes rather, do get sent through and the wall gets open. Bouncing tries to commit to the wallbang onto God Legion, who's low on HP. I don't think Ruffle will be able to stop him from going back up the brown stairs as he gets scanned and can find refuge back towards the objective.
Yeah, he can just run back up main stairs. He's pretty safe up there on that second floor. Also wastes one of Bouncing's charges as well. It's still information nonetheless, though. A minute and a half, and a lot of time has been sort of taken off the map. At least now for Roflcopter, though, they're getting some of that horizontal control as they push closer to AVG. Bouncing's really close by as well. OJ's going to drone in, see what he can find, play room vault. Really nothing too crazy from the Chiefs right now. Pretty stock standard.
Stronghold here from Worthy. He has a deployable shield with 2 ADS devices alongside, and that will make it difficult to clear. Worthy elects to just hold that position in the meanwhile as Ruffle rotate back towards Study. Digital gets the first pick of the round though. 2 minutes in, it's Boydie off the board, and that soft breach and potential flash grenades are no longer going to play a part in this round, and it does allow the Chiefs to retake 90. As I say that though, it's a swift retrade there from Bouncing, leaving it in the 4 versus 4, but they still need to work Study pretty hard.
Yeah, and 30 seconds left. Bouncing does find his way into the round with that opening kill. Gas canister is going to be deployed as well from Fisher Guy. Only one left now. Chiefs very much
C4
on
God
site.
Legion below.
God Legion from below doesn't have much health, but of course with the C4 available, will be able to make an impact. The final stages of this round, but it's set up for a Roflcopter onslaught onto the sites. They all look to funnel in. Hotshot going for the aviator plant and should get this off relatively uncontested. Never mind, God Legion is going to be there to stop it. And Worthy with a second follow-up onto Campo, making sure nothing was going to come for Roflcopter in that round.
Great work there from God Legion. Despite taking a lot of damage early in the round, he managed to rotate back towards the site, and in fact late round as Ruffle rotated towards Study, maneuvered down below, had the lines of sight, able to deny the plant with the MP5. In the end, didn't even need the nitro cell, which he kept pocketed for all of that round. Good work there by the Chiefs, and Ruffle looking a little bit disorientated at the moment. Didn't fully commit to their plan of map sweeping, and it cost them in the end as they didn't really have meaningful control, and with 10 seconds to go were forced to try and send it deep for the plant. And obviously they just did not have the control required.
And the one thing I want to really point out here is, you know, you mentioned before the 7-8 Villa game against Rhythm. Now, that was played on April the 5th, so it was a while ago, 2 weeks ago. They weren't even the Chiefs at the time, so that's how long ago it was and how much you really want to take stock. But the main takeaway for me is the fact that Chiefs only got 2 defensive rounds on Villa, which is staggering to think. How you could only get the 2 rounds on their defense. Actually, sorry, they got 3 overall. I forgot it went to overtime. So 3 overall. They really struggled. They got the majority of their rounds on the attack. So again, kind of like what we saw in Cafe, doesn't really bode well for Roflcopter, because at the switch of the half, Chiefs are going to be feeling quite comfortable on their attack here on Villa, on their map pick. And the fact that Chiefs have gotten off to this good start here on their defense, it's not good signs for Roflcopter.
Yeah, a little bit concerning. We were theorizing that maybe Ruffle did a good job in hiding this map and had some sneaky stuff ready and waiting for any team that wanted to challenge them here on Villa in the playoffs. But 2 rounds in, it doesn't quite feel like that at the moment. Plenty of time though for redemption, and Ruffle now will be looking to successfully take kitchen and dining. Extension above here from the Chiefs, looking to contest map control, and Digital getting aggressive down below as well. Trying to push back any potential horizontal take here from the attack, and in doing so with the heartbeat sensor, he can gain intel and relay that to the rest of the team as they try and work out exactly how Ruffle want to approach site.
Oh, Boydie into toilet. There's a drone as well, so I think Digital has been droned out. May have to fall back. But Boydie looking to get aggressive here and make his presence well and truly known. Digital hasn't fallen off, not too far. Worthy getting the kill onto Bouncing through the window. And again, that is now the second time in 3 rounds that Bouncing has been killed very early on that Jackal. And as we saw in round number 1, the attack for RoflcopterGG pretty much was non-existent without the Jackal. And now it's just, the round's over. There's a minute and a half left and it's 5 versus 2. Hotshot and OJ, what have they even got a chance of bringing this one back?
RoflcopterGG trying to force 1v1s in the early round, and whilst that can be a valid strategy when you're feeling red hot, clearly the Chiefs are on point at the moment and winning every single one of those engagements and preventing any map control from being obtained here from the attack. And Digital on the heady will shut down OJ. It's Hotshot left in the 1 versus 5. And the Chiefs, they're going to do the round the world trip, get 3 defense wins in a row, and it's starting to look very, very dire for Ruffle.
Yeah, and they know that Hotshot's in piano, now pushes out into the main hallway, but not a chance. He might get 1 just to stop the flawless round, but he's not going to be able to salvage the round for RoflcopterGG. They're in a bit of disarray at the moment here on Villa. Chiefs as a whole, as an entire unit, as a squad, are firing on all cylinders. Hotshot does get 1 onto Digital and does stop the flawless round at the very least. It's something.
Just second guessing himself a little bit there. Saw Digital just sitting and waiting, and did find the pick in the end, but it's not going to make this round any more attainable. God, Legion with a very cheeky angle down the longer hallway. Surely wins the fight, but doesn't. Not getting too excited yet, though. Only 10 seconds left, and he still needs to find 3 more.
Decent for the KDR, but that's about it for Hotshot and RoflcopterGG. Chiefs, again, convincing, clinical in this 3rd round. Villa shaping up to be a very difficult task for RoflcopterGG.
Times like these where it starts to look tricky for the attack as the Chiefs have won all 3 sites in a row and their rotation unlocks, allowing them to go back towards stat and trophy, which they won in round number 1. And none of these rounds, particularly Xenox, have felt like Ruffle have had a real look in, honestly. None of the rounds have been very convincing at all for the attack. The Chiefs are just locking down every single approach that Ruffle decided to adopt, and it's tricky to see them finding it in. They need to radically change something in order to try and make the Chiefs feel a little bit more uncomfortable, because at the moment, it looks like their map pick. Yeah. And, I mean, it is, so it should, right?
Well, you say that, but the Cafe pick Chiefs were quite comfortable as well. A bit more back and forth in that opening half, sure, but that was just due to the fact that RoflcopterGG were on the defense. So as soon as that switched, it was a very clear runaway for the Chiefs. And right now, Chiefs on the defense are clearly running away with things here on Villa early on. Early days, still opportunities for RoflcopterGG to get back into this, and they're going to have to, because this, of course, is match and series point coming up very, very soon if they can't get back into it. Chiefs having already won the first map of this best of 3. So RoflcopterGG, for the first time in the gauntlet, really on the back foot. They're on the ropes, and it just feels like a couple more rounds and Chiefs are going to knock them out.
Vast tries to take out that drone early, but doesn't quite hit the mark. Of course, that drone positioning would suggest that Ruffle will go for a study side sweep, gain map control across, and maybe find a pick or 2 along the way. Vast is, of course, the player under the pressure early here, or will be under the pressure, but has assistance from below. God Legion does, again, have a Nitro Cell in the pocket, and if the Chiefs coordinate this with Vast and maybe a cheeky ping, they could get an opening pick onto the attack for basically no risk.
Yeah, Bouncing's the big one here. They got to keep him alive, or he's got to keep himself alive. Can't continually just get killed so early on in the rounds, not even having really an impact so far after being arguably their best player so far throughout the gauntlet. Campo's been trying to stand up in his absence, but as a team, Roflcopter just looking a little bit more inept here on Villa. Boydie on a donut still as well. Everything that could kind of go wrong for Roflcopter is going wrong. C4 misses the mark though from God Legion, but pretty similar setup to what we saw last time here from the Chiefs, and they will just fall back over to site.
The Chiefs will be looking for the opening pick once again. They have gotten the opening kill in all of their round wins. The only rounds that have gone by so far, the first 3. They'll be looking to do the same again. They rotate back towards site. Good timing, though, I'd say, for both teams. Pretty even at the moment, as we only have 1:15 left on the board. No gunfights to go down. Vast gets timed a little bit there as he shoots utility. I like the intent here from Roffle, looking to clear what's on site, pinning out that utility and try and get rid of it as they think about the execute. The nitro cell from below does a little bit of damage, but the Chiefs don't have any left for a potential plant later into the round.
Yeah, good pick up. That was the final nitro cell for the Chiefs. It did at least get some damage onto Boydie, so an impact, nonetheless, something that he can take from that. 40 seconds left. But the good news for Roflcopter is that they've got all 5 players still alive, so they can kind of use the Gemini, try and get onto site. Gonna force out these gas canisters now to be deployed from Fisher Guy. He's actually used them all now. So with 30 seconds left, no gas canisters available for Fisher Guy, and it's Bouncing who finds the opening pick. Not too surprising. That's what he's capable of. Fisher Guy up close, though, does eliminate Boydie, but as Roflcopter start to filter onto site, they're the ones getting the picks, and it's only Vast that remains in a 1 versus 4. Clinical, clean, and precise from Roflcopter.
Oh, no.
Didn't quite stop the plant, though, and Vast can't beat OJ. Roflcopter on the board for Villa.
I thought there might have been a small window of opportunity there for the planter to get swung on, but doesn't come into fruition, and it's well covered there in the end. OJ getting the 2 final picks, or 2 of the final picks. One of those was onto Worthy, who was actually going for a flank up red late as well. So the flank watcher doing his job, and it aids Roffle in getting their first round win onto the board. It's well played by them. They gained map control quite swiftly. They pinged out utility and cleared it as required, and they were able to clear the players in towards site. One of those being Fisho, holding down the fort inside of Trophy. We saw in the regular season him get a 4K in that exact same position. It felt very much like a sense of deja vu, but he got shut down there by Roffle, and they do to finally get around on the board.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
And I'd say it's pretty vital that they can at least get a second at some point. Doesn't have to necessarily be this 5th round, but to make it a 4-2 half, it's not impossible then for Roflcopter on the defense. Ideally, for their sake, obviously, they bring it back. They get these next 2 rounds, and what would probably surprise us a little bit, considering how one-sided the first 3 rounds really were. The Chiefs looked like they would be able to run away. So there's an opportunity now brewing for Roflcopter to get back into this map and see what they can do to do just that. Over to AVG for round number 5.
5 seconds remaining.
Can Roflcopter go back-to-back rounds?
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Looking at the stats, it's been quite an even spread for both teams. I guess the only outlier there would be Boydie. OJ gets the opening pick there onto Fisho. Don't know how that would have happened. Surely Fisho isn't spawn peeking on smoke. It could have just been a lucky wallbang, maybe? From spawn? Oh, wow, I think it was. That's super cheeky there from OJ if that was the case. But back to my point, Boydie hasn't quite found himself into this matchup, but that could be reminiscent of Consulate yesterday against Order, right? He struggled to get into that one, but in the end, he had a big impact. And maybe if he can step up here, Roffle will be in a really good position to try and bring this back in the first half.
Yeah, a bit of a lucky wallbang through study into Aviator, so good opportunity for Roflcopter to now capitalize from here, and that's something that both teams have been able to do with their opening kills. No one's gone on to lose the round here on Villa thus far. Digital actually going to get caught as well, bouncing with a big pick And again, now Bouncing starting to spring to life here after a pretty difficult opening 3 rounds, is making his presence known. And it's why I was harping on about it when he was getting picked on the Jackal those first 2 times, guys. And you can see now that he's not getting picked and he's the one that's starting to get aggressive. He's finding these kills and he's making life easier for Roflcopter.
Counter pressure being applied here from the Chiefs. All 3 players looking to push back this, I guess, map control take here from Roffle. Very aggressive, but they need to do something. If they default back towards site, they will be overwhelmed, so they need to take this risk. Oh, God, Legion.
Trigger.
The trigger discipline. He sits, he waits.
Is that Manic? Is that Manic Monday? Oh, oh! He just butts him in the face. But shortly after that funny exchange, Vast and God Legion are both eliminated, and from laughs it turns to sadness for Chiefs very quickly. 1 versus 4 worthy. There's so much work to do, and you would have to imagine it's all but too impossible. Gets 1. How do you got the second? You'd just be umming and ahhing as to whether or not it would be achievable. Although if they all just funnel through, I swear he may actually be able to do it. Gemini goes in first, changes up his positioning. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's actually playing this quite well. Gets another opportunity. He swings from the couch. Maybe he didn't need to. But Roflcopter nonetheless capitalize. 2 rounds in a row. It's 3-2 here on Villa.
OJ just sending Fish a friendly reminder in the chat that the Siege Gods were on his side in that round, managing to pull off a lucky wallbang at the very start of that round.
Test.
So it's that funny moment there with God Legion. Had he maybe have gotten the 2k there, it could have been a different story, but ultimately did play out into the hands of Roffle, who could trade it out in the plant. And it looks like they're slowly starting to switch on. They're playing aggressive in the early round, finding picks and gaining map control at a bit of an alarming rate. If you're a Chiefs fan or a Chiefs player in the server, it does feel like their grip on the map is slowly starting to slip in this first half.
Yeah, just a little bit, but it's still a long way to go. But we set the tone, right, for Roflcopter to be able to get back into this. They're going to have to get some attacking rounds, because Chiefs, we know, are going to do well on their attack here on Villa. And so at least for Roflcopter, they give themselves an opportunity. They get at least 2. I don't think it's end of the world if Chiefs do get to 4-2 here. But I tell you what, if Roflcopter can tie this up 3-3 after those first 3 opening rounds, it's an immense turnaround for them, and they can at least take some momentum going into the second half, even if their Chiefs attack is going to be quite deadly, and just changes the tempo and expectations of this match. Boyd is still on a donut as well, 0-5. Not sure how much crouch spamming he's going to be doing in this match.
Probably not much, but hopefully for Roffle, he can at least aid in the roam clear and establish vertical. Doesn't necessarily need to win his ones to still have a significant impact on the buck. It's not his primary objective. That will more than likely fall into the lap of Bouncer and probably Campo as well to find and win those opening engagements. Again, we're going to see Digital down below inside of Lounge, looking to gain intel and call out to the rest of the Chiefs where exactly this attack is coming from. As we can see, Roflcopter setting up towards the study balcony, taking swift control, and it's actually Hotshot to drone ahead for the entries.
Tense final round of the half, as we're deep into the gauntlet here for OCN. Chiefs certainly being challenged right now on Villa, maybe even more so than Cafe, where of course that was the map pick of Roflcopter. Ended up being a bit of a limp finish, 7-4. Digital's seen enough. He likes what he sees and he gets rewarded. Opening kill goes the way of Chiefs. Boydie still on a donut and will remain so at the end of the half. 0-6, not ideal. Bouncing still alive. Campo, OJ's been doing good things. So Roflcopter still have the firepower to get back into this 6th round.
No immediate trade there from Roffle. They don't have the control where these players are positioned. Oh, that's an aggressive play. Gets shut down though. It's a trade there from Fisho. Digital could not pocket the heartbeat sensor in time. Fisho though, so proficient on that shotgun. Could well find another one above, but he gets timed, and Hotshot now has control of stat.
Fisher guy gets another kill. Campo gets one back at least quickly. Doesn't make the numbers too bad now for the side of Roflcopter. 3 versus 2, 50 seconds left on the clock. It's doable. Absolutely doable. Campo will, of course, still have the Gemini. They've got drone, well, one drone still available, though they can at least live drone Campo forward. This is the Gon 6 to take out that Banshee. And Fisher guy is low as well, so it won't take much to eliminate him. Chiefs just need to hold on here. Don't need to play too loose. Can play safe. Fisher guy on site inside of dining. God Legion over in kitchen. It is going to be Hotshot who is taken down. Campo swings around through the hallway. Gets one back at least onto Worthy. 2 versus 1 though. And time is of the essence. 10 seconds left in this half. He's got too much to do. Chiefs will close out the first half here on Villa. 4-2.
Well, the Chiefs have established themselves in a nice position here heading into their attacking half of their opposition's map pick, or their map pick rather. Chiefs, they've looked good on their attacks in the last couple of weeks of OCN, and I don't see why it should change anytime soon. For the most part, they've been dominant here on Villa. They've set the pace, and they've set the expectation that they'll close out the series 2-0.
Yeah, look, I held that same expectation as well, especially with them closing out the half 4-2, pretty decent defense, and going over to their attack now. They are expected to do well on their attack, the Chiefs, and it is their map pick, and it might just get all a bit too much for Roflcopter. Still been a valiant run, though. If their Roflcopter Gauntlet run does end here, I don't think they could be too unhappy with their performance in the playoffs, especially for a team in their first season of OCN, probably exceeding expectations as well. So we'll see if Roflcopter have one more Ruffle left in them.
That was bad.
Or if their season will come to an end. I thought it was fine. Oh, jeez.
That was your first joke of the entire series, Xenox, and it was just absolutely terrible. Just... yeah, can we get some cringe spam in the chat, please? Thank you.
I just got a message from Dev saying these casters are cringe.
Well, he's not wrong. He's really not. He's not that far off the mark. In fact, that's probably the best analysis that Dev has brought to the table for the entire playoffs, but we'll let him have that one. Again, he can't defend himself, so easy pickings, but in terms of easy pickings, Ruffle almost did get the opener in this round. In fact, Vast taken really low on HP, and we'll need to be mindful as he tries to play this entry role that a single bullet will take him down.
Always got to be careful with what you're saying, guys. It's Manic mentioned they are up next, and I'm sure they're going to be revving up the bus for you. Just like Chiefs might be revving up the bus to run over Roflcopter and finish off Villa. Fast is low, though. Not ideal for the Sophia. Bouncing on the Jaeger, looking to make something happen. Just pushing around into living now at the moment. Does have OJ close by. It's probably what Roflcopter need to do is be aggressive on their defense and can't just turtle up on site. Need to make life difficult for the Chiefs. Can't give them much room. Got to be trying to really suffocate them if possible.
Again, we're seeing the pulse on the board here. It was digital for the Chiefs to play this operator previously and gain a lot of intel and ping out enemies for his team. Of course, on this occasion, it's Campo. C4 gets ripped. God Legion, though, playing safely on the bricks. He knows that there's a threat below, but Fisho, he's getting the plant down.
Ooh, denied, though, by Hotshot. 4 versus 4 with a minute left. God Legion takes a huge chunk of damage as well from the Nitro Cell. Trying to return fire now himself. Boydie going to get the headshot onto God Legion. The push in from Digital into Trophy. Catches Hotshot. Chiefs just pulling ahead slightly. Now even more so. It's only down to Campo left to save the day against the very low health Vast as well. Worthy still up. 35 seconds left in the round. chance for Campo to become a hero for Roflcopter. Otherwise, a 4-2 scoreline might just be unmountable. Big opportunity. Worthy goes down now versus Vast in a 1 versus 1. And as we know, Vast doesn't have that much health. Gonna stick to plant. Diffuser. Oh, gets off of it, swings, and Campo wins. Roflcopter through Campo clutch the round and keep this map alive.
Campo does it. And in the wise words of Canadian, the worst gun in the game manages to get the job done. Fast. I thought that maybe having so low HP would prove costly late round, and it did in the end. Worthy over-aggressing on the wide swing, was shut down. Campo holds firm, finds those picks, wins the round for his team. If he had have lost that engagement, it would have been 5-2 in favor of the Chiefs, and from there, probably would have looked like an unobtainable win for Roffle. But with that victory on the board, it starts to look like it could be a possibility that they bring this back on the defense.
Well, they kind of already have. I mean, a 4-3 scoreline's not that bad. You win the first round. It's a good way, of course, of just getting one on the board. And I didn't think they were too bad in that round either. Chiefs, a little bit stagnant. They weren't too aggressive. I mean, they did get ahead at 1.3 versus 1. Couldn't capitalize and finish the round off. But it says a lot about Campo and his performance individually over the last couple of weeks. Alongside Bouncing Balls, those have been the two players that have been really setting the tone and the expectations from Roflcopter, at least here in the Gauntlet as well, especially. And a big round win for him. Boydie as well, getting a kill off that donut. So things looking up for Roflcopter. It's now about capitalizing on this very small amount of momentum that they've got and seeing how far can they run away with it.
Interesting vert being established here from OJ. He is running the TCSG with the 2X. Really nice at holding long lines of sight. And he, of course, can use it to remodel around the map. Boydie as well, playing down in basement. That's not something we really saw from the Chiefs on their defense, or at least not that I spotted. Fast meanwhile again taking a lot of damage as the Chiefs try and take quick control. They have top round already, and Worthy gets the first pick.
Fisher guy capitalizes, and well, the two players I mentioned, almost a bit of a cast to curse there, both Bouncing and Campo out early in this round. And this is now the big test for Roflcopter, not only down 2 players, but arguably your 2 best players. So your 2 best performing players as of recent. So Boydie, Hotshot, OJ, it's up to them to mount this comeback in the round. It's totally doable, especially on the defense. Chiefs at times can get a little overzealous, can get a little over aggressive, get out of position, giving other teams a chance to get back into rounds. But obviously the Chiefs, the way that they've been playing recently, will look to minimize that and close this out and get to a 5-3 lead.
Boydie is going 1-7, but he has a big job in this round. He's holding the pillar position over towards 90. If you can maybe find a pick at top brown and dislodge Vast, who's on the upside down rappel, it could turn the tide in this round, but he needs to hit his shots.
Yeah, this is just getting a little too difficult now. God Legion makes it very difficult for OJ, and Boydie doesn't get involved either. And up to OJ to just make it a non-flawless round. Couldn't do that. Flawless indeed. There's the crouch spam from Worthy and the Chiefs. And it's not nice when it's on the other foot, cuz.
Great early round aggression there from the Chiefs. They surely had pre-placed drones at the bottom of Brown's stairs. They played off that, found the opening pick, and had really good map control. They had a good foothold that they could play off for the remainder of the round. And when you have that man advantage on the attack, you often expect the defense to get aggressive and find counter picks to even out the man advantage, which eventually Roffle did play into. The Chiefs ready and waiting shut them down, and in the end, it was a flawless round to edge them to that 2-round buffer.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
5-3. Chiefs edge closer to knocking out Roflcopter from the Gauntlet. Is there a way back into this for Roflcopter? That last round, clinical, clean, flawless from the Chiefs, as we have come to expect from them. So they get their first round win for the half. Head over to AVG once again to see if Roflcopter can just fix things up a little bit. Well, actually, they're going to have to fix things up quite a lot off the back of that last round.
5 seconds to go. Attackers must locate and
OJ,
defuse the bomb.
bringing the Echo to the board in this round. It's an operator that I have noticed he's played a little bit here and there throughout the regular season, and he's finally bringing it out here in the playoffs. Keep in mind that the Yokais can now be spotted on roofs. They are no longer invisible, but they did receive a small buff recently, allowing them to jump up and down a little bit faster, making them more maneuverable around the objective, and actually quite powerful now. So OJ playing into that alongside the shield might be able to get something done here and clutch up a late round, which we have seen a couple of times, but it's Campo to be taken down early, and that will reduce the impact of Wamai in this round.
Yeah, and that's not good news when it comes to the statistics of the opening kills. Only one
Attackers have located
opening
the
kill
bomb.
so far in Villa has proven to not end in that round going to the team who got the opening kill. So, and that was actually the Chiefs, though. I guess maybe there's something in that, but the odds do now say, and the stats do now say, that it's going to be a very difficult round for Roflcopter to win. You're losing Campo. That player in itself, as well as on the Wamai, is going to get less discs out now as well as the round progresses. So just from bad to worse for Roflcopter.
Ooh,
There's something back, at least from Boydie. Something maybe out of nothing. The C4 from out the window will catch Fisher Guy. That's the Habana off of the board now. That's a big pick.
yeah, that will significantly impede Chiefs' ability to pressure the site now. No hard breach left on the board. No one bringing the secondary gadget, and no other hard breach was selected. That means they can no longer open Vault. Fisher can't rotate to study and apply pressure from there if he so desired as well. And that one pick alone really gives Rofl a nice into this round. Chiefs will likely need to filter in from Model, try and take the long haul as well. That will be challenging if Rofl can test those positions aggressively.
OJ can get a bit of vision as well with that Yokai drone. Wants to get it in place. Could become a factor later in the round to potentially deny the plant. Chiefs just trying to get rid of this Banshee as well. Down to the final 35 seconds of the round. There's a repel from the Chiefs. Got to be careful. Bouncing,
Ooh.
just allowing it to happen. Gets away. Digital, no, he comes back. I'm not sure why. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Bouncing in a good position, but he does get traded at least. He's down. He's out for the count, surely. Worthy having a field day here on Villa against Roflcopter. Makes his way in. Will finish off Bouncing. Increases his tally to 13-3 and 4. Final seconds of the round. Player behind the bar. God Legion doesn't check it properly though. Catches the player involved, but Hotshot will finally stand up, catch that player, and win the round for Roflcopter in the end, really. They stay alive. With the skin of their teeth, they are still in this here on Villa. They're not done yet.
While Boydie may not be having the most impacts on the board in the frag department, he had a massive impact in that round just gone. That C4, I would argue, was the linchpin in that round in allowing them to hold on. With no hard breach, the Chiefs really struggled to adapt, and the likes of Bouncing, for example, playing quite freely in towards Study. The late rotation there from the attack, not shutting him down as well. From there, of course, time trickled down, and without any rotations or avenues rather in towards the site, the Chiefs just could not convert the round. We've seen historically the Chiefs in playoffs struggle to close maps out, and I don't want to curse them here, but if Rofl managed to bring this one back, it could be another scenario like that playing out.
And it's also the second time we've seen the opening kill from the Chiefs not actually turn into a round win. Both times now coming actually on their attacks. So credit to Roflcopter for turning this trend around, which was 100% win rate on or in the first half for teams that got the opening pick. So that's changed dramatically now in the second half, and that's allowed Roflcopter to get these 2 round wins. Both round wins that Roflcopter have got in this half, they've been down 4 versus 5. And of course, they're on the defense, so it's generally not as bad, but nonetheless, they're playing at a disadvantage. What happens now here in Stat Trophy? Do they get the opening pick? They should then be able to capitalize on that and make this 5-5. And that's when things get a little interesting. There's a chance that Cheeks might let Villa slip after all, especially after having what one stage was almost a commanding lead.
Bouncing again, looking to play aggressive here for Roffle as Chiefs begin to drone ahead, set up flank watch, and think about flushing him out. That said, he falls back, and with that, the Chiefs should gain decent control early here of Study, Aviator, and Games as well. But they need to be careful and make sure that Bouncing doesn't pose a serious threat.
Yeah, and Bouncing, of course, as you said, threat in terms of positioning, but just threat as a player. If he gets going, Roflcopter are going, they're following behind him. And then to make sure they shut him out, don't let Bouncing get involved, don't let him get any easy kills. Especially opening frags. That's one thing that Bouncing does really, really well for Roflcopter. Gets those entry frags or gets those opening picks if he's on the defense. Puts himself in that position to do so. And he does that so often that he's just so good at it. So Chiefs, definitely a little bit more hesitant with their attacking approach this round. Really slow. There's a minute and 20 seconds left. They are establishing a bit though in getting these sight lines opened up and clearing this utility.
Campo again down below on the pulse, gaining intel. He'll be calling out that the push is coming from the southern side of the map to try and facilitate players like Bouncing, but he gets shut down. God Legion to get the entry. That said, the Chiefs have been struggling to confirm the rounds when they get the opening pick. Nitro doesn't quite hit the mark, but Boydie plays off that and gets the trade.
Yeah, Campo just calling out really well there. It was unfortunate that Bouncing wasn't able to win his shot against God Legion. It was the right play from Roflcopter. They do have a lead and now they have an advantage, and it's a pretty decent one at that, 2 versus 4. You don't count Worthy out though, especially with the way that he's playing out here on Villa. And there's still a bit of time on the clock. Fisher Guy has to survive this, and he does. Boydie swinging at him. So now 2 versus 3. Air jabs are out. Worthy's still got one more in the back pocket, but they're going to deal with the Sawyer Gate. And there's only one flash left, actually, and that's on the side of Fisher Guy. Otherwise, they'll have to obviously tank the gate. They do get through. Fisher Guy is now going to stick the plant. Worthy watches, hits the shot, and he is successful. Fisher Guy will stick it. Hot shot did die to that, so in a 1 versus 2, he didn't get it off. It would have been like 0.5 seconds left or something close to that margin. Roflcopter win the round and tie up Villa.
Unfortunate timing there for the Chiefs, unable to cover the plant, but Roffle doing a fantastic job there off the back of the intel provided by Pulse, shutting down that push from the Study side, aggressing with Nitro cells and pushes up the red stairs to find those picks, as the replay will show Boydie swinging and finding one, and then Campo not afraid to play off his own intel and find yet another. I thought for a split second there when Boydie swung bricks that maybe that could have been the in, and it did bring it back to a 2 versus 2, but good aggression there from Roffle to deny the plan and secure that final pick was enough to get them the round.
It just tenses up a little bit. Just a bit. Tack pause from the Chiefs, of course, really signifies that Roflcopter are in this game. They've fought back well here on Villa. You got to remember, back it was a 3-0 start for Chiefs. So in the rounds since then, it's been 5-2 to Roflcopter. The last 7 rounds has been majority to the side of Roflcopter. They are in this up to their eyeballs, and the chance that they can steal the map pick of the Chiefs. Although I would have to say, I think you would agree, Clubhouse probably doesn't bode too well for Roflcopter, but at least they can get there and have an opportunity.
Oh, maybe. A lot of ifs and buts though, and you would have to think that the Chiefs surely can step up on their map pick. And off the back of this tack pause, halt the momentum that Roffle has seemingly gained and throw it right back at them here with a defensive win, or an attack win rather, over towards Kitchen. Aggressive lineup though from Roffle, and early indications in the prep phase would suggest that they're going to hold above. Make life as difficult as possible for the Chiefs on the map clear.
Located by attackers.
And they're looking really well on the defense so far. Only one attacking round win for the Chiefs so far for RoflcopterGG. 3 defensive wins. It's a
Attackers objective is
different tale of the tape here. And maybe the Chiefs' attack on Villa that we've seen from them in recent times, especially in the rhythm game, has just petted out a little bit. And the defense of Villa has really started to take hold, like it has on other various maps in this season of OCN. Defense just proving to win out over and over and over again, and being the pivotal side that you want to be winning on. How aggressive is Bouncing going to get on this Oryx, though?
T5 with the 1.5 could definitely do some damage. Sends out some warning shots towards the bedroom balcony. Of course, the position that the Chiefs are trying to convert in towards map control. Campo from below, though, knows exactly where every single player is coming from. Needs to be careful of the vert being established, though. God, Legion doesn't quite hit his shots, and that could prove costly.
attackers have located a bomb.
Yeah, Campo's the one to keep an eye out here. Still has the nitrous cell. Is he going to look to throw it through the floor? He is, but he's not even close. Did it get shot?
I think so.
It must have got shot because it didn't explode. I don't think it would have got anyone, at least anyway. Might have done a trickle amount of damage, but obviously, as I said, did get shot out. That's a big nitrocell as well to take off the board. There's still actually 2 more. So that's 2 nitrocells that have been used, both Campos and hot shots. That's going to be the 3rd if OJ lets it rip. And bouncing with the opening pick on the God Legion. Big player to take off the ball for the Chiefs, who hasn't been able to have an impact so far in the playoffs, really, to comparison of his regular season form. Oh, Campo just almost ripping the head off of Digital. So close yet so far. Gives him a second lifeline in the match.
Going to be critical that Campo and OJ have good comms and pull off this play with the pre-play C4. If they do so, it'll leave Chiefs in the 3 versus 5 for the execute. And that is obviously not a favorable position. Campo looks above at the right time, but Worthy still finds that pick, and now OJ will need to play that C4 off intuition. The call just won't be there.
It's almost like he forgot about that hole in closet that we saw get opened up earlier. 45 seconds left. Boydie with the C4. That was the final one on the side of RoflcopterGG, and he makes it work. Advantage RoflcopterGG, although not for too much longer. Fisher Guy getting one back onto OJ. 3 versus 3. Health, though, on the side of RoflcopterGG, and of course on the defense. They should still be in control. Fisher with the diffuser in hand for the Habana. 20 seconds left in China at the moment. And it feels like they're so close to the site, but maybe so far away. Blast just bulldozes his way into sight, taking a bit of damage, but getting the kill. Hot shot. Digital is down now. Bouncing. Can he find anything on the RX? Vast with 5 seconds left to salvage this round. There's not enough time to find both Boydie and Bouncin. RoflcopterGG got match point here on Villa. I can't believe it.
Some playful banter at the end there as the Oryx knocks the Chiefs to the ground, and probably representative of the momentum at the moment. Roffle all over their opponents. That's 3 rounds straight for Roffle. 1 more, and we head to Clubhouse for the 3rd map. Oh, pressure now has got to be on the Chiefs. It felt like this map was theirs for the taking, but it's really slipped away. And Roffle are playing some really solid Siege at the moment, playing into the map, which is awesome to see, especially considering we just do not have a whole lot of history of them even playing this map.
And defuse as many bombs as they can.
Boy, this would set up a crazy match on Clubhouse. Chiefs would be expected to win, but they were expected to win here on Villa. So then you kind of had to throw that notion out the window, guys, and going into Clubhouse. RoflcopterGG, it's playoffs time. Anything can happen. And they might just have something set up on Clubhouse that could surprise Chiefs. There's a story brewing here at the OCN Gauntlets, and it's not good for the Chiefs. Match point, RoflcopterGG. A dramatic turn of events. They've now won 4 of the last 5 rounds. If you go back even further than that, guys, they've won 6 of the last 8. It's been quite one-sided.
What are Roffle going to do here to close this one out? Will they play their aggressive selves? I would have to assume so. It's been working for them so well. Worthy gets the opening pick again for the Chiefs.
Doesn't matter.
I know. That's exactly my point. Roffle on almost every occasion within the next 30 seconds will get the pick back and somehow close out the round. The Chiefs need to buck that trend, find maybe one more pick and just try to secure this round, lock down the roamers and prevent that trade from coming through.
I mean, even if they get the pick back, sure, but in previous rounds gone by, Chiefs have had this 5 versus 4 advantage for quite some time. I think even in some of the cases, they've even had a 5-on-3. They still weren't able to capitalize. This is now, they had 3 rounds prior where they got the opening pick. 3 times they couldn't capitalize and win the round. It's just going to be the 4th time, which would be demoralizing as well because this is match point. This time you have to capitalize on it. You got no choice. You got to send it to OT. Minute 40 seconds to do just that. And they've probably got to now utilize this time without taking too long, but also without rushing onto site. Play this perfectly, play this the Chiefs way, and they should be able to win out.
Chiefs looking a lot better on their attempts for this side. They have control of 90, and Fisho on the rappel was not taken down. Worthy might lose this swing, but no. Secures his double for the round, needs to be mindful of the rotation. C4 flies out, but he finds that as well. Boydie could have potentially gotten the Roffle team back into this round, but surely the Chiefs can bring this one to overtime now.
There's not much in terms of utility as well for Roflcopter. Besides the gas canisters, that's all they've really got. No nitro cells, no impact grenades. So Hotshot's going to, of course, be that last line of defense. At this point, you're down 5 versus 3. It's probably better for Roflcopter to just be close to site and look to play off of that. Hotshot sitting inside a vault, but what can he really do? Vast is pretty much ready to go. Make that swing, plant default behind the vault door. Once they've got everything set up, which they're pretty close to doing that. 30 seconds left. This plant is imminent. Hotshot with the gas canisters is going to have to be vital in slowing it down. I don't think he can really allow this plant to go off. And in fact, it's not going to be a default plant. It's going to plant closer to the window. So Vast is not going to get hit by these gas canisters. It doesn't matter. It's a flawless round anyway. But a different plant and a different attack and a different approach, and Chiefs send it to overtime.
It's amazing what one small change can do. The last time the Chiefs attempted that site, Boydie hit the C4 into Fisho, and from there, they really couldn't do a whole lot. But with quick control of 90 and the hard breacher on the board, they played into that really, really well. And Fisho guy securing the double here was massive. And then he shoots the C4. If Boydie hits that, it would have been the double trade, but a clean shot there. And whether or not it was him or the attacker alongside that shot it doesn't really matter. It was enough for the Chiefs to win the round and keep this map alive.
Yeah, sends it to overtime, gets the blood pumping for the Chiefs fans as well. Because there's an opportunity that they can just end this here or now. Get themselves a bit of a break and then head into the Knights matchup. Knights, of course, will be sitting here watching and waiting and see who they're going to be playing, whether it's Roflcopter, whether it's Chiefs. Which team would they even prefer to play? Would it be Chiefs? Would it be Roflcopter? Yeah, it's hard to tell. Of course, we don't even have the maps for that series either to come, so all focus still here on Villa for the time being as we head to overtime. Chiefs on the attack. Still, Roflcopter on the defense. Hard to actually gauge who that really has the advantage in that regard. I mean, Chiefs in the end, and it took them a bit of time, guys, but in the end did get 2 attacking round wins at the very least. So you'd have to say statistically, Roflcopter should win their defense side here.
Yep, can't argue with that. Whether or not that trend continues in overtime is another thing. I feel like there's been a lot of games of Siege everywhere where trends and stats just absolutely crumble under the pressure of overtime. Roffle not wanting to let their run slip away. We're feeling the pressure here, and it's again Chiefs who get the opening pick 30 seconds into the round. I think that's 3 or 4 times now on their attack they've managed to defeat. And it's up to Roffle to do what they couldn't do in the previous round in trading it back.
6 out of the last 7 rounds now, opening kills to the side of the Chiefs. That is staggering. It was a little bit more 50-50 in the first half. Not quite 50-50, but to summarize it. But it has been extraordinarily one-sided since then. The Chiefs, of course, and we've spoken about it at length, have not had the capabilities of capitalizing on it every single time. Still, you'd rather get the opening pick than not, that's for sure. And taking out OJ, who's been doing all right here. It's not a bad effort. Boyd, is he going to be that aggressive? No. Of course, he doesn't even have the vision there. Minute 40 seconds remaining in the round. Campo would probably look to him to be the guy that can get Roffle in this round. He's got the only nitro cell in hand.
The Chiefs down below trying to clear utility off the wall. Namely the Electro Claws, which have been cleared. Boydie playing aggressive on the breach. He gets that trade back. No one from below has Vert on this position. He's been allowed now to walk inside of the closet. Jansen covering that position as well. Will do the Chiefs know?
Well, the Chiefs have only got, I think, one player around that closet area at the moment, if that. No one else was really close by there. There was that one player. There he's gone now. Boydie getting impatient. Oh, getting the headshot onto Digital as well into Astro's stairs. And what a game changer this has been again for RoflcopterGG. That's why we bring up that stat. It's a quad for Boydie. He's just gone bang. God Legion shuts down Bouncing, but the round's over. It's an ace for Boydie. He gets all 5 of the Chiefs and he gives them overtime match point.
It was a quiet one for Boydie at the start of this match, but as he did yesterday against Order on Consulate, he's activated when it matters, running around on the alibi, and the Chiefs having 0 response. The cheeky run out there at Closet, and then he found multiple picks even on those holding the rotations. Digital got put to sleep as well, holding the angle, and from there really just steamrolled as the Chiefs tried to make something out of nothing. Great work there in the end from Boydie, and Roffle once again will claim match point.
Once again? I can't believe it. The fact that they even had it once. Can they close it out this time around? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Overtime match point. At the very least, 2 match points, technically. In the back pocket for RoflcopterGG to close out Villa. Worthy's got 19, 3, and 7, but I hate to say it, guys, he hasn't had too many partners really helping him out. Only God Legion at 8 and 8 that isn't at a negative.
Does it end here though? That's the question. Can't help but feel that after that last round, the Chiefs will be a little bit demoralized, but that mentality needs to be short-lived. Quick turnaround before the defense. Again, the favored side here in this matchup. Only 4 attacks were won in regulation of the 12 rounds. Chiefs did successfully defend AVG, but only once. It was in fact their second attempt where Roffle won on the attack.
Yeah, and that doesn't bode well, really, for the Chiefs. Although, statistically, their defense was quite a bit better than their attack here on Villa. I would be extraordinarily surprised if they can't at least get 7-7. At this point, though, I also wouldn't trust them. If they get an opening pick here, the Chiefs, even on the defense, I still wouldn't trust them to close out the round. It might actually be better if they just like let a player run out, die to RoflcopterGG, and just get that over and done with so that they can stop the opening pick curse. Obviously, it doesn't work out that way. You wouldn't actually want to do that, but unfortunately, the Chiefs are just not capitalizing when it matters the most. Bouncing taking a big chunk of damage without remonstrating himself back above.
Wow, so many players below here on the attack looking to maybe find a pick or two, try and find the entry. That's what Roffle have struggled with. Fisher does connect some shots there, I believe, onto Boydie, but he survives to live another day and he can continue to work the floor with the skeleton key.
This might be even better than just getting a random spawn peak, right? You've got both Boydie and Bouncin, really low health. Everyone on the side of Chiefs still full health. You're on the defense side. There's a minute 15. There's that opening pick for Worthy, taking out OJ and still leaving the two low health players in Boydie and Bouncin as well. Looking good for the Chiefs.
There we go
Although
again.
Campo does get one back quickly, as you said. It just tends to happen.
Oh, Boydie.
Oh,
he really
no.
has turned on here. 4 versus 3 in favor of Ruffle, Worthy, Gold Legion, Fast. They need to hold on. 3 veterans of the scene. They've been playing together now for such a long period of time, but this is really where that synergy comes in handy. Can they bring this round back? Worthy on 20,
He's got 20
kills, needs to find a couple more.
Does he really need to? It shouldn't be up to him. He's already got 20. He shouldn't have to get any more, and he won't get any more. Campo wins that exchange against the Fragger on the alibi. It's only God Legion and Vast left for the Chiefs in a 2 versus 4 with 2 of the 4 for RoflcopterGG, low health, Bouncin and Boydie. So Campo and Hotshot look to them to be the ones. Well, Hotshot's of course going to go in and plant. So Campo on the Yana might just be the one to lead the entry. Vast couldn't hit the initial shot. God Legion's watching and waiting, and he does get Bouncin. Hotshot goes down as well to Vast. Diffuser down. Chiefs win the round. Clutch from God Legion and Vast. And we go to overtime, match point 7-7. The 15th round is coming up.
I thought that surely it was over once 90 control was forfeited there and Worthy was picked off. But out of nowhere, Ruffle allows the defense right on top of them at the very end. Worthy, I thought he was going to be key in being any chance for winning this round, but it turns out that Vast and God Legion could do all the work themselves in towards site. The attack just not really working together there to watch the angles required.
How
And
are they not
somehow the
split?
Chiefs win that round.
How was that so much of a funnel though? I mean, literally just crowds walking behind each other in towards the bar. I mean, I
Attackers need to locate and
I don't know.
defuse bombs.
Thought that RoflcopterGG had themselves a bit more of an advantage to have different avenues onto site. Didn't work out. It's overtime, match point for both teams now, the 15th and final round of this map on Villa. And I think we can both agree, guys, neither of us and the guys on the desk expected this to go this far.
No. I would have thought that surely, not only would the Chiefs take this map comfortably, but comfortably in regulation. It's been anything but though. And Ruffle now on the favoured side. You would think can close it out here. The real asterisk on that is maybe whether or not Ruffle can get that opening pick, but I guess as we've seen time and time again, it really has not mattered for them. On a lot of occasions, they haven't been getting that opening pick, but have been able to bring it back. That said, if they can get it on the board early, maybe they can steamroll this round.
Dev's been hard at work in the background trying to find the single map kill record. Obviously in reference to Worthy being on 20 kills. I think looking at what I've seen, he probably would need quite a few kills in this final round to get close to challenging for that. That's probably the last thing on his mind, though, of course. He almost put all the 14 rounds prior out the window, and it just comes down to this final round, especially on the Chiefs' attack, guys, because they haven't quite looked like the Chiefs, the informed Chiefs that we've seen over the last few weeks. Their attacks have been a bit stagnant. They've been a bit messy, and they haven't really been able to get much of a foothold in looking good on their attacking pushes.
The main concern really is that they're just not capitalizing upon the early round advantage that they've so often been obtaining. This round, of course, a little bit different as no picks have gone down. Campo from below, getting intel inside of living. Oh, this could be the key difference. If he decides to rip a nitro cell and finds a pick.
Surely. Has he seen enough, or does he want more info? Does he want that nitro cell to have more of an impact? Minute 25 seconds remaining, and I've said it a few times, but Campo's the one to keep an eye out to find a pick at some point on that pulse with a nitro cell. I heard one go out. I think that might have been Boydie. So 2 nitro cells left, one for OJ, one for Campo. Chiefs getting to work above now in Master Bedroom. God Legion from above. It's Campo who did end up ripping that C4, taking out Vast. He's done his job on the pulse. Advantage RoflcopterGG, 5 versus 4 with 50 seconds left in the round. 7-7. If Chiefs win, they move on to the grand final. RoflcopterGG win, then we go to a third map over to Clubhouse.
Chiefs still with good vert. And a good chance they could bring this round back. Again, Roffle having no nitro cells left in the bank. If they can get a push off through Laundry and try and go for a plant, Roffle may find it difficult to deny it, but that's a key pick from Bouncing. That could be the linchpin.
Bouncing has just been immense for RoflcopterGG in the playoffs, and not the best game on Villa, but a big kill there nonetheless. 15 seconds left. It's red time now for the Chiefs. They're going to make something happen, but it's looking very much like it's not going to happen for them. 2 versus 5. Get ready for Clubhouse. It's coming up very shortly here. It may even be flawless unless Worthy just goes bang. He gets 1, he gets 2, but he couldn't get any more. RoflcopterGG, start your engines. Start flying over to Clubhouse. We're going to a third map.
Wow, Roffle. Can you believe it? They lose their map pick, but they bounce back, get their revenge on Villa. It's an 8-7 victory. They hold strong on the defense. They play their aggressive selves, and the Chiefs struggling to shut them down. And we're going to the third map for the first time in OCN 2021 playoffs.
What an incredible, inspiring victory from RoflcopterGG. 8-7. It was close in terms of the scoreline, but it wasn't meant to be close. That's the storyline from this. It was meant to be a resounding Chiefs victory. It was their map pick. They're the team in form. They're the team that's meant to take down the Knights, or at least challenge them, guys. And now they've got to do another map against RoflcopterGG. Now they're going to go over to Clubhouse, a map where, again, they're going to be expected to do well. But like Villa, I start to question it a little bit now. Is it going to happen for them? Is it just going to be how Villa should have been, or is it going to be a RoflcopterGG onslaught on Clubhouse? I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I feel like you have to back Chiefs into this, right? You look back at their match history. They've smashed Q Confirm in APAC South 7-0. They smashed Wildcard as well 7-2. On paper, it's a Chiefs map, but
yeah,
you never know. Honestly, playoffs, they always throw a spanner in the works. The fact that we're even going to a third map is remarkable in itself. Roffle can hold their heads high. They have nothing to lose heading into this one, and they'll be looking to maximize the amount of points that they gain towards the final standings. They honestly could be a real chance at fighting for promotion next year, which is just absolutely insane. They are the newest team in the league, and they are showing up big time.
They certainly are. They, of course, as you said, have nothing to lose going over to Clubhouse. So for RoflcopterGG, it's about just playing with that freedom of mind. For the Chiefs, though, of course, the backs are up against the wall. They're the one with the expectations. I'm going to throw it over to our fabulous desk where they can break things down even further.
Well, RoflcopterGG have broken all expectations by all means. And Vinny, I mean, we were sitting there the whole time thinking, yeah, that's done after the first half. The Chiefs have wrapped this up. They started looking good. I think they were up 5-3 at one point. Oh my God. What was that from RoflcopterGG?
On the back of Worthy, after that first half, I really thought they'd had it sealed in terms of the way they played it. That first half was pretty dominant. The rounds that they lost seemed to be like kind of 50-50. So I thought Chiefs definitely had it in control, but Roffle definitely, you know, turned up the tempo in the second half. They looked to find those opening picks early. They, to be honest, got a bit unlucky with the way that the opening picks kind of went that way, but then after that really re-aggressed and looked, you know, to get that man advantage back, and it really showed. Towards the end of the rounds, they were in pretty advantageous positions.
Dev, there were so many rounds where it kind of came down to the wire there. Chiefs clawing it back in OT to even make that, you know, possible for them to really look at a two clean map finish. It's just, I mean, you can see from the highlights, it was a phenomenal game.
Yeah, amazing, honestly. Such a fantastic match, and incredibly close. I think this 2 versus 4 right there from God Legion and Vast was really a turning point for Chiefs to get them back into it. But the amazing thing is you just can never count out RoflcopterGG. It's unbelievable. Like Guz was saying, this team has come out of nowhere through an open qualifier, and if they keep this up, they're on the verge of promotion into APAC South come the end of the year, which is just unthinkable, honestly. And the fact that they can come back, as you said, Vinny, the opening kills, 11 out of 15 that game went to Chiefs. And yet every time Roflcopter, you cannot count them out. There was a point where Chiefs were going for an execute with a whole minute remaining in a 5 versus 4, and Roflcopter still come back and win that ground. You can never count out their aggression, and it's just amazing to see the amount of firepower that these guys have.
Vinny, right now, we kind of expected a 2-0. We didn't expect Villa to be pushed, especially to overtime, for a victory for Roflcopter. Are they doing this? Is this possible as we head to Clubhouse?
I'm gonna stick with my prediction and just say that, you know, I've been on the receiving end of of Clubhouse from Chiefs recently, and I know just how strong they are. It's a very methodical map. It's pretty straightforward in the way it goes down. I think Villa allowed you know, that kind of re-aggression from Roflcopter that I don't think Club will allow, and I think that we'll see a much more straightforward match. Again, though, it's playoffs. BO3, pressure's on. If they carry that momentum from the second map, I don't see why they couldn't take it all.
That's it. It is playoffs, and Roflcopter are still looking good. They're still looking in it. Ladies and gents, we're going to go to a short break, and on the other side, it's the third and final map of this best of 3 to determine who will be playing Knights in the grand final. See you in a second.
Attackers dropped the diffuser. 10 seconds to go. Attackers located a bomb. 5 seconds. Attackers.
mind again. Just keep on moving on. Never look down, never fade out, never fade out.
It's time to let it go. It's time to lose your inhibition, developing a blind ambition. If you got a match, just go ahead and light it. I wanna see where this is going. We're done with playing games, not knowing, yeah.
This could be huge. Manages to find them.
I did not expect to be here on a third map in this round 3 of the gauntlet, but it turns out Roflcopter still have some fuel in the tank and they are flying higher than ever. Dev, those first 2 matches have left us headed to Clubhouse. I mean, very quickly, can you summarize for people who may just be joining us what we've witnessed so far?
Look, we witnessed a great game from Roflcopter on Villa to make that comeback over the Chiefs. It's pretty insane to think that they've come through an open qualifier, fought through relegations, knocked out a team that's been in OCN for a whole year, and then they managed to get top 3, and they could even go further than that if they can take it here to Chiefs. It's map 3. We're going down to the wire, and it's a good map for both teams. It's the veterans versus the underdogs, and Roflcopter is seriously putting up a fight.
They certainly are, and they've been running the gauntlet this entire time. Speaking of running, if you're looking to get fit, Snap Fitness, the wonderful sponsor we have on board for OCN, of course, has their promotion running right now. The first 4 weeks, it is only $4 per week. It's a pretty ridiculous and outrageous deal that you need to take advantage of. If you'd like to know more, just type !SNAP in chat. And it'll take you to the right place. I think Vinny's looking quite fit over there, in all honesty. I know that you're a soccer man, so surely your stamina is up there.
I mean, I better hit up the Snap Fitness on the way there, hey?
Maybe so, maybe so. Well, we can hone in on this final map, Vinny, because Clubhouse, we've just had a bit of a chat between all the casters in the break, and it kind of, I mean, like... We're reiterating what we were saying before, but surely this is Chiefs series. Surely we are going to be seeing Chiefs taking on Knights, right?
Yeah, again, just reiterating from before, I think they're a very strong Clubhouse team, and this map really favors the Chiefs in comparison to Villa. We saw Chiefs earlier this season lose to Rhythm in a pretty similar fashion, a pretty similar team in terms of play style, and I really do think that we're going to see a Clubhouse here where Chiefs will take it.
And this is an OS favorite, right? Clubhouse has seen nearly every bloody play day. We don't really get through 4 games without seeing it. So, I mean, where are you lying on this? You know, we've seen both of these teams win twice in regular season.
Look, yeah, it's true that Chiefs are very strong on this. In fact, last 3 times they played this map, 7-0, 7-2, 7-4, they've lost 6 rounds across 3 wins on Clubhouse. There is no denying this is an incredible map for the Chiefs, but obviously they didn't pick it first. They left it for the decider, and that is because Roflcopter is quite good on this map as well. You know, they just beat Bliss on it yesterday, 7-4, quite convincing. and they previously already beat LFO on at 7-3, and their only recent loss for Roflcopter was actually against Bliss when Roflcopter weren't playing with Bounce and they had to sub Cynics in their coach. So I think that it's pretty safe to say this is a good map for both teams.
And I mean, do we have a win condition here, Vinny? Do we have a specific idea as to who we need to look to? Obviously, Dev's just, mentioned Bouncin'. He's obviously in the bloody roster, so we will be all guns firing here. But is there anything in particular? I know that you've played both of these teams quite a few times. Is there something that is the X factor that may bring this across the line for Roflcopter?
Yeah, I think it continues from Villa, that really aggressive play style. They've been struggling all weekend with entry picks. I think if they can kind of shore that up a little bit, bring those numbers down and just not allow Chiefs to kind of get that man advantage early, because Clubhouse in a 4v5 early round is a much easier than a 5v5 execute on site.
Yeah.
I don't see Roflcopter being able to deny plant as often as they'd like to, so maybe early round aggression, trying to get that man advantage. I think we'll see a lot more roams from them in terms of their bottom floor defenses. And on Jim and CC, I really hope that they, try to retake map control.
Yeah.
Take those really aggressive fights. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's a perfect note to end on. You have your win condition for Roflcopter. Chiefs are heading into this one, the semi-favorites, I would say. It's a third and final map to decide who will be taking on Knights in the grand final. And of course, it is my main men, Xenox and Guz, to take us through all of the action. Put a cherry on top, baby.
I don't know what's so funny. He was like perplexed that he was throwing it over to us. Look, good job on the desk, guys, breaking it down well. Vinny, you need to get back into the lobby and stop trying to steal our job. You're doing too good of a job. I can't believe, though, we are here going to a third map, guys. I've got to be completely honest. I'm wearing blue for the Chiefs. I thought they were going to be able to take this one out, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. And credit to Roflcopter. It was a good game on Villa, really back and forth. But now we get to the nitty gritty. We get to map number 3, do or die. Winner moves on, loser goes home. It's Clubhouse.
Let's see if we can find that cherry and put it on the top of what has been a pretty tasty cake so far in this series. I'm expecting the Chiefs to blow this one out, but you just never know. Ruffle coming out of the gate strong here on their attack and get those rounds on the board. Looking at the stats, both teams actually having a pretty even defensive win percentage. It was 58% for the Chiefs this season, 59% for Ruffle. So I really think this will come down to team's proficiency on the attack, right? Chiefs 78% on the attack, Ruffle on a measly 56%. And of course would indicate to me that maybe the Chiefs could have a little bit of a slow start here on their defense, or at least below par, but when their sides switch, the Chiefs will be positioned nicely.
I wouldn't read too much into it. Going into Villa, we thought it was actually going to be a Chiefs attack that was going to sort of get them over the line, and that was going to be the difference maker. In the end, it didn't actually prove to be that at all, right? It was actually very defensive sided. So it's hard to actually gauge what's going to be the necessary objectives to win coming into Clubhouse here. And this is why, sometimes statistics don't tell the whole story. It's team by team, or even team versus team, that generally changes things around. The Aruni ban, I would imagine mainly for gym bedrooms hold and basement to a degree, but it's not exactly the most difficult gadget to overcome. Regardless, though, those are going to be the bans as we head into Clubhouse, third and final map of this series. As I mentioned before, winner will move on to play the Knights.
Yeah, just picking up off that Aruni point, maybe a little bit of a target ban as well there onto Ruffle. They've been playing her a little bit throughout the afternoon, throughout this series, and in fact throughout the season as well. So I do like that intent there from the Chiefs to try and make them feel a little bit more uncomfortable. Of course, Ruffle don't need to worry about that for the first few rounds. They're starting out on the attack. And we're going to see the triple hard breach from Ruffle. That's a meta that we've seen a little bit from some of the Southeast Asian teams in APAC South, but it's not as popular down under.
No, it's not. The other thing that's not as popular down under is usually, for Cash and CCTV, as an example, is Con versus Garage. Wouldn't be surprised to see both of these teams actually maybe elect to do that. More so the Chiefs at least have been employing that a little bit more. So we'll go down to Church Arsenal first up. And this is one thing to keep an eye on, especially with the castle, the vigil, the roaming game from the Chiefs here. How aggressive are they going to be on the roam? Are they going to force this sort of second floor top down clear, or is it going to be primarily this first floor around central stairs and just look to be a bit more of a nuisance rather than actually hard engaging? And one of the sort of weaknesses of the Chiefs sometimes on Clubhouse is their ability to be overzealous, to be over aggressive, to be in these really aggressive positions but lose the fight, which then makes it quite easy on the attacking team, right? If it's 5v4 or 5v3 attacking Church Arsenal, you're going to usually have a much better time.
Full roam is being committed to here by the Chiefs. We saw Moto Hatch blown out for a quick rotation as well. So very aggressive and facilitated by the likes of the Vigil and the Mute. Their goal is, of course, to deny intel if Ruffle play into it and attempt to drone these roamers out. Now, Legion inside of Cash could be the first point in contact, and it looks like Ruffle will play into it. Hotshot electing to Maverick trick the Kennel's wall. And I'll be looking for the rest of Ruffle to team up with him to get this push going.
Yeah, and at times we've seen roams like this as well. Sometimes you even have a play over at Rafters. Chiefs have not elected to do that. So Garage is completely open here for the taking. I mean, Vast kind of playing from below, actually, so never mind. I'll take that one back. Vast actually just going to rotate back over towards Oil Pit and get back to site. And this is sort of what I was trying to get at, is how aggressive Chiefs are really going to be. It's one thing to sort of start on the second floor. It's another thing to actually stay up there, really engage, and make really life difficult. I think the fact that Roflcopter have been pretty slow in their approach in opening things up and getting that CC wall open, it's a minute and a half. There's not really much of a desire for Chiefs to hang around on that second floor for longer than they really need to, so they are going to rotate back down to site.
As we can see on the overhead, all 5 members now back towards basement. That allows Bouncing to post up at the top of Secret and the rest of the team to begin working vertical, the likes of Boydie with the skeleton key. And I can only assume Campo, as he has the launcher out, beginning to open up the hatches alongside Hotshot if required. That said, no Kaid on the board, so opening these hatches really shouldn't be all that difficult. Gold Legion might be able to delay it a little bit with the impacts, but not going to have a huge play. Instead, he uses it, I believe, to clear a Claymore on Oil Pit. Maybe that's an avenue they can use later.
Yeah, interesting that. He was the only one with impact grenades as well, so not even going to ever contest that kitchen hatch. 40 seconds left. They do have that Oil Pit control, though. At least Moto Hatch drop. Actually, Boydie and OJ both getting to work now. That was a C4 that was thrown out, unsuccessful. No more now for the side of Chiefs. Fisher got the swing, though, on that Mute shotgun. And there is that Oil Pit control proving to be successful for the Chiefs. 4 versus 2, and Roflcopter really not many avenues of attack. Kitchen hatch, central stairs, that's really it. I don't see a way that they're going to win this round.
Campo's position, of course, revealed as he takes a little bit of damage, and it's Fisho inside of Moto. Name a more iconic spot for the man to play. He gets the final kill there onto Campo, and the Chiefs claim the round.
Good opening round for the Chiefs. Got to make sure you don't get too carried away, though. That's really for both us and the Chiefs as well, because, you know, if we sort of cast our minds back over to Villa, it was a 3-0 start for the side of Chiefs, guys. And not just that, right? 3-0 is a great start, but the way they were winning those rounds as well, they were quite convincing. It kind of looked like it was just going to go through the motions of the formalities of the map and that Chiefs would run away with things. Obviously, it's only one round. It was a really clean round, though, and I did like what I saw. The roam game on that second floor, they got off it pretty quickly as well. After a bit of a slow push from Roflcopter, they didn't really need to hold for too long on that second floor. No presence, though, on that first floor, so when they really decommitted, they decommitted all the way down to basement, focused on Oil Pit a little bit, and really the round from there was pretty easy.
Yeah, and you always need to be mindful of a Mute or a Smoke playing inside of Moto with that shotgun SMG combo, but even more so when you're playing against the Chiefs. Fisho, on so many occasions, dating back many years, has made big plays from that position, so it's critical that Ruffle clear that out effectively, and I'm mindful of the swing mid-round, because obviously in that on that occasion they really weren't, and it slipped away. I believe in the end he got 3, maybe 4 picks, so really good work there from old mate Fish, who, I mean, talking about him for a little bit, has had a pretty good season, right? It's his first season, first stage on this lineup, of course, jumping across from the Sinister, Noble, ex-Meloncat roster, and he's found himself in a really nice role playing that smoke support, IGLing as well, and it seems to be working out for the Chiefs lineup.
Success, of course, though, as a team for the Chiefs has been there all season, so it's easy to do well in a good team. I think that really just means that really all five have been firing on all cylinders as a collective unit, and that's really what has been the Chiefs' strength throughout the season as well. So, yeah, Fisher guy's been a really good impact for them, but I think it's also, you look at guys like Godlich, and he's probably taken a new step this stage as well, and being someone that you can comfortably rely on to get those entry picks and to be the guy that can get a lot of frags as well for the team. Good start on Clubhouse. Haven't really seen enough, though, to obviously make a call one way or the other. We've only seen the one round, but obviously for the Chiefs, they do want to get off to a good start. You wouldn't want to try and wrestle back momentum from Roflcopter, considering they, of course, just won the map on Villa. It would have been pretty detrimental had Roflcopter came over to Clubhouse, win the opening 2-3 rounds. Have to imagine that would have been very difficult for the Chiefs. So good start for them, and it was a needed one.
Yeah, I guess an expected one as well, considering they've got a pretty good defensive win rate here, and I think it's going to come down to whether or not the Chiefs can replicate their attacking form, which we've seen this season. So, of course, we'll need to wait at least 5 rounds before we see that, but it is a good start for the Chiefs, and the fact also that they were able to execute a pretty aggressive roam, time it really well in the rotation as well, is going to fulfill them with confidence. It is often easy to commit to a roam early into a match, stuff it up, and then you'll go into your shell for the rest of it, not wanting to reattempt something a bit more aggressive and instead erring on the side of caution. So that was awesome to see. As for Roffle, though, they'll need to be mindful that Chiefs now in that mindset are probably going to continue that playstyle. We'll need to contest with that for the rest of the map.
The other part of it as well was the opening pick, which went to Vast, which, it doesn't sound like much, but they did struggle over on Villa to capitalize and convert those opening kills into round wins at times, which really allowed, more than anything, Roflcopter to actually have a look in on Villa and in the end capitalize themselves and win the map. So to get that opening round pick, to get that round win as well, overall, a really good performance from the Chiefs. Fisher, guys, you mentioned before, having a big impact single-handedly there. What do we need to see from Roffle moving forward? I think we might be seeing cash CCTV, but just in general, do you need to see anything different from their attacks, or is one round not enough to really go off?
I think Clubhouse in its current form, in the current meta, is a map where there's not really a whole lot of room for innovation, so I'm not expecting to see anything new here necessarily from Roffle. It's about doing the fundamentals right and pulling off default executes with precision, getting the timing down pat, and ultimately winning your ones. Roffle, they're capable of doing that. We've seen it throughout the season. The fact that they're this deep into the gauntlet suggests that they can do that. The Chiefs, though, often can be at just another level where it's really, really difficult to find mistakes and then punish them. And that's what Clubhouse really comes down to. If you're making mistakes, you need to make sure that you minimize the number that you're making. And when your opponent makes mistakes, you just have to capitalize upon them. Again, it plays out very similar round after round. Objectives play very, very similar these days. And it only comes down to a small misplay here or there that can dictate the course of an entire round. That can come down to maybe a player being a little bit too aggressive at the start, or a player failing to hit a trade mid-round. Whatever the case may be, one small mistake can be enough to really unhinge an entire round. And it's going to be up to Roffle to bounce back from what was, a pretty disastrous first round and minimize their mistakes going forward.
Last time we saw Chiefs on Clubhouse was actually the final playdate of the season against Wildcard, which was very convincing. 4 defensive rounds, 3 attacking rounds. It didn't really leave much there in ways for Wildcard. So you're kind of expecting for Chiefs to do well on the defense first up. A 4-2 probably would be about right. That doesn't necessarily mean that it would be impossible for Roflcopter themselves in their own defensive half to come back and send it to OT, for instance. But if Chiefs fail to get those 4 rounds on defense, it does leave the door ajar for Roflcopter to maybe even win this one in regulation. So a good start for Chiefs. They get off the board. They deny 1 round at least already. But look to Roflcopter to fight back early, just as they did on Villa. Well, actually, they didn't do in the first 3 rounds. But after those first 3 rounds, that's when they started their fight back. In fact, they even went on and won something like 6 of the next 8 rounds after those opening 3 rounds, which we didn't really see coming. Those first 3 rounds were quite clinical from the Chiefs. So see what Roflcopter can now do in this second round as we're finally back in on the map.
5 seconds to insertion.
Worthy on the roam early, trying to find any drones. Bounce was the only one to lose a drone in the prep phase prep phase. So that's 9 left in the pocket for Roffle to use later. I'm anticipating Roffle would, of course, work the breach early here with Hot Shot. I would then expect them to follow that up with a Garage take. That said, maybe they'll lean in to a con to cash take. Just have to wait and see what their preference is. The Chiefs, though, of course, will be accustomed to both as they play in APAC South, and in that league, you often see a little bit of both. Roffle will know that and will be expecting that.
And I think the other thing as well here is just not overcommitting one way or the other. Yeah, you get the CC wall open up nice and early, which is a good sign. Worthy just being a little bit cheeky. Godlegion catching Boydie. Is that over towards Jacuzzi wall? No. Actually, it was balcony, I think. I have no idea. I can't even see his body. Oh, no. Okay, over in logistics.
OJ
But this con push
tramples-
is going to happen.
Yeah, OJ trampling on that corpse, and Roffle now taking control of con. So this is the push they're going to dedicate towards. Electro Claw being used to fortify this wall. Hotshot will send a drone in to work out where that claw is positioned. Not quite sure if he spotted it out. If he did, expect a nade to get sent over shortly to try and get rid of that. Shots rain out. That's Fisher Guy taking some damage. Oh, they just missed the flash. Hotshot still going to commit to the nade though and try and clear this off.
Oh, no. Worthy from below. I mean, how much of that comes down to the missed flash and having to extend their time in that position? It's hard to say, but I think that's the round over. They don't even get the wall open. It's 5 versus 1, 50 seconds left. Yeah, Bouncing's just may as well forfeit this one. Well, flawless from the Chiefs, but I would almost go as far to say it's anti-flawless from RoflcopterGG because a lot of that was their own undoing.
Yeah, I like the intent there from Roffle to switch things up from what we typically see in OS by going for that con take, but it was a perfectly timed nade there, or C4 rather, from Worthy to dislodge that. I still think even if the flash went through on the first occasion and they didn't waste, let's say, 3 or 4 seconds readjusting, it honestly probably still would have hit the mark either way. So Roffle need to be mindful of that, be ready to shoot it or cut down that player from being able to throw it out in the first place. It's a good start for the Chiefs, but now it's time for the ultimate objective of Clubhouse. It's Gym Bedroom. And with Mirror on the board, surely the Chiefs can close this out cleanly and do that perfect round the world trip.
Which is exactly what they did over on Villa. They got that opening world trip. They got the first 3 rounds. It was looking very one-sided on Villa. So it's not impossible to suspect it may happen again here. The RoflcopterGG will need to find an avenue over to Gym Bedroom, which historically is a decent site in terms of attacking win rate. Recently, though, it's been a bit of a safe haven for defenders, so hard to gauge which one is going to be more prevalent here in the 3rd round. It's not do or die for RoflcopterGG. They don't need to win this round, but ideally they would like to get on the board early and not allow Chiefs to do the world tour. How are they going to defend this one? Usually 1 in cash, maybe 1 top red is the play. But Var sitting over towards Rafters for the time being. And then even has Worthy below. That's a very early breach. And we'll take that top red position.
Definitely wise there from Vast to rotate from Rafters, otherwise he would have been isolated from the rest of the team. It was a little bit of a narrow window, having to dash across as the breach was being opened, but nonetheless he does pull it off. Inadvertently, that allows Bouncing to take control of Rafters, but...
Okay, so this is interesting though. There's no shield at top red, but there's one over in cash, which is usually it's vice versa. You tend to see the shield placed at top red and then cash is sort of like whatever. It's just to rotate back over towards site. I have to wonder if Godlegion is going to play with the Vulcan shield here in cash, if they're going to want to actually hold this for longer than usual. You know, guys, we've seen this 1,000 times, of course, as Clubhouse is usually played quite regularly, but you're going to give up that top red position quite easily. Then you even give up the cash position quite easily. With that shield there, you can play it a little bit longer than maybe you would like to usually.
Either way, Ruffle taking their time in clearing it. They do open cash halfway into the round.
They gave it up.
Control has been given up, but the Chiefs will be able to default back in towards Logi. I don't know, can we have a look? Yeah, they have a mirror prep there. Fisho playing behind that position, so that will force Ruffle to go above and clear Logi hatch to try and pressure that, or they can just get some extra Kairos straight onto that black mirror. They attempt the ladder and pull it off. Fisho forced back, and Ruffle doing a decent job mid-round clearing this important utility established by the defense.
And the Vulcan Shield's positioning there as well when it explodes, so it's going to actually buy a couple more seconds. That's like a good 5 seconds. Usually if it's over at top red, it doesn't really matter. So it's just like those little things do add up, I guess, for the side of Chiefs. And with 50 seconds left, they're looking pretty good here. 5 versus 5. Ruffle haven't even really gotten full control of Con. Obviously that mirror still going to be a nuisance to deal with. Logistics hatch is going to be the play at some point. Vasto getting the kill onto Campo. OJ taking a big chunk of damage. All 3 of them just pushing into logistics all at once, and it's just a spray of gunfire commencing with 30 seconds to go. Advantage still on the side of Chiefs. OJ's low as well. Not ideal for Roflcopter at all. Now they lose hot shot. Chiefs are not messing around here on Clubhouse.
OJ with a lick of HP. 1 bullet will be enough. Worthy seals his fate. The Chiefs take the round. They push back that onslaught from Ruffle and they get 3 straight.
And now the pressure's on Roflcopter, because from here, you can't allow the 4-0. 4-0 is going to be very difficult to come back from. Yes, they may have a better time on their defense, but then that means like there's still going to be 2 freebie rounds there for the Chiefs. I mean, at minimum, Roflcopter need 2 round wins, all right? I think we can fairly say that. The odds of them winning, even a 5-1 half to Chiefs, or God forbid, a 6-0 half. So it puts the pressure on the Roflcopter. Even goes far to say, if they lose this round, you're going to have to take a tack time out early just to shuffle things around, shuffle the deck chairs, see if you can win the next 2 rounds going into the half. Otherwise, it may just get away from them, get out of hand. We head down to Church Arsenal. Chiefs looking in command, but as they were on Villa at 3-0, they were looking in command then. And then, as we know, it collapsed pretty quickly.
And the more concerning sign, I think, like, for Ruffle here is that, like I briefly mentioned during the rehost, we're not going to see a lot of innovation here. And if we do, it's unlikely it will be in this match in particular. The Chiefs, in the first 3 rounds of their defense, played default strats. For the most part, everything was very, very similar to what Ruffle would expect. But they still struggled to clear that utility, and the Chiefs really balancing map control and time management really, really well on that defense and making Ruffle feel incredibly uncomfortable. Again, we're seeing a switch up here. Well, we are seeing a switch up for the first time, really, right? We're not seeing the roam being employed here from the Chiefs, at least not with the castle. Worthy is inside of cash and has established mute jammers, but I assume this would be a little bit more of a soft roam or potentially even just a straight up bait.
Well, it might just be the way they played it last time, right? But the difference is they're going to have better operators actually for Church Arsenal. As you said, sort of the soft roam, because that's really what they did last time. I mean, like, yeah, they had players everywhere, but they didn't really commit to any engagements. They didn't look to find any picks. It was very much just establish that presence in that second floor. And then around that 145 mark, they got off it pretty quickly. Bouncing going to go down to Godledge. And then that was actually going to be my next point, was that we haven't seen Roflcopter finding any picks so far. And again, that continues into this 4th round. Chiefs with all 4 opening frags to start off Clubhouse. It's not ideal for Roflcopter, especially attacking Church Arsenal. I mean, if there's any Chiefs still roaming around, it's now actually time to just get back to side. Don't give them a look in. Don't give them any chance of getting this tied back up 4-4.
Already again inside of logistics, establishing nice angles down and in towards the site through the kitchen floor. Patch is being worked here as well by hot shots, so that's an additional avenue in towards the site. Ruffle being forced to open it on this occasion because it wasn't popped by the defense. Gold Legion gets reset there as Worthy whacks him with a Nitro Style and gives him a little bit more HP. Really not that significant though, but they had the time, so they may as well. This will be where it starts to get a little bit messy, maybe for the attack. Hot shot sends out a nade, does clear the Electro Claw on the hatch, but Digital does have another if he so desires to juggle it.
Has a throner, so that's going to be at least 2 of the pallets going off. And that's going to be the hatch opened up in kitchen for Roflcopter with exactly 1 minute to go. His drone immediately shot, so didn't gain too much intel down below. From what we're seeing, it looks as if Chiefs are very much just all on site now with 45 seconds left, and the right way to play it. There's 2 C4s as well still available, 1 for Vast, 1 for Digital. Very much in control here with the player advantage as well. Roflcopter are going to find it very difficult to win the exchanges because they're going to be at this disadvantage.
4 versus 5. The attack still has 4 drones to work with, but they haven't quite cleared blue. Campo forced to push down through barbed wire. God Legion is low on HP though, as they get back to the 4 versus 4 and think about this execute. But OJ dropped with the diffuser inside of Moto. They need to push hard here at the latter stages of this round, but God Legion falls back. They can't find these picks. Digital cleans up Boydie, and now it's Hotshot and Campo left with 5 seconds on the board. Hotshot, in a desperate attempt to win the round, pushes into sight. But they're met with fierce resistance, and the Chiefs will take 4 rounds straight.
And it's the first time in this entire best of 3 series that Chiefs have won 4 rounds in a row. Dire times for Roflcopter. Not electing to use their tactical timeout just yet. I would have thought that losing 4 in a row would trigger that. I guess not to be. To have to back themselves in and hope that they can at least get the next 2 rounds, send it to half time, have a breather, save that tack time out, maybe for the latter stages if they can get back into this match. But if they can't get back into the match, then there's going to be no time elsewhere to actually use it. So we head back to Couch CCTV. Chiefs looking to do the business now against Roflcopter and finish this one off quickly so that they can prepare for Knights in relatively quick manner. Of course, Knights have been watching and waiting, but I think right now they'll be expecting to be playing the Chiefs in the grand final.
Hotshot watches as the wall gets minced up there by the Chiefs, making his job a little bit more challenging in this round. That said, Roffle committing again to the triple hard breach. OJ on the thermite, as I mentioned, Hotshot on Mav and Campo as well, bringing Habana into the fray. Hasn't felt like the hard breach has necessarily overwhelmed the Chiefs on these defenses. In fact, on most occasions, their denial has been holding up and making it really challenging for Roffle to pressure the players inside.
I should mention as well, though, the first half on Villa, it was actually 4-2 to Chiefs. Chiefs were on the defense. The only difference was Roflcopter actually made it 3-2 before Chiefs got the final round of the half. So different circumstances, but same score to scoreline. An opportunity for Roflcopter to still get the next 2 rounds and at least go into the second half pretty happy with a 4-2 half on their clubhouse attack. But it's just going to be a little bit more difficult, you'd have to sense, to get 2 in a row here on clubhouse, especially trying to take this cache CCTV site. The last time we saw this, their con push was just, well, abysmal. And it looks as if Garage is going to be the location of choice this time around.
Hotshot mavericking the bottom of the walls in order to try and clear mute jammers placed there. Proves to be effective, and both Habana and Thermite get to work opening angles. That puts a little bit of pressure on Worthy, who might be able to counter aggress here. Takes down a drone, and that could be his signal to fall back. Meanwhile, main breach still being worked on here by Hotshot. Eventually, it can be popped, and that's most of the hard breach finalized by Roffle, unless they decide to go con, but I would expect them to go for a garage take on this occasion.
Yeah. I mean, you could go for a last-second switch over to con. Doesn't usually work out that well, though, for the attacking team. You tend to find that the con pushes need to be well-established prior if they are going to work out. Clearing Vast is going to be their primary concern. Oh! What a swing from Worthy, though, into Garage from Lounge. That could be the round just from that one single-handedly. Does get shut down. Boydie with 2 very pivotal kills, and they get actually control of Rafters. Still have the diffuser. Not so bad in the end for Roflcopter. Guys, it was looking worse than this.
I think they're in a good position here, right? They can think about the default plant. They have the main breach cross covered, and the Chiefs only have 1 C4 in the pocket. So Digital will need to hit something big here to give his team the chance. Roffle should be able to bait that out. And once they do, it's going to be a tough retake for the defense.
And they'll have that play repelling as well. On Kennel's wall, 30 seconds remaining in the round. Boydie has opened things right up for Roflcopter and their chances of at least getting a round on the board. OJ now is in, and we'll stick that diffuser.
Oh, Fisher below.
Digital throws out a C4, doesn't connect. As you said, Fisher Guy was from below, but Bouncin was there as well and catches them both. And Digital, how many times has he found himself in this exact position? 10 seconds left. All he has to do is deny the plant. Boydie goes for it, but he knows he's going to get the player at the cross. It's Bouncin who does not allow Digital to cross. Roflcopter will break the duck. They're on the board.
Good, clean recovery there from Roffle. A valiant effort from Worthy at bot garage. Hit the flank and almost aided the Chiefs in gaining a 5-0 lead in this map, but it wasn't quite enough. The trades were effective as Worthy probably gets a little bit overzealous there, and a good plant and post-plant positions there from the Roflcopter team will help them in maintaining that round. And honestly, if they bring this back to a 2-4 half, right, it resets the conversation entirely. 2-4 attacks on Clubhouse, more than good enough, especially considering the defensive win rate for the Chiefs. I guess the only warning sign really would be that the Chiefs are incredible on their attacks. At least they have been so far in OCN. So that buffer might not be enough even if Roffle do get this round.
I don't have the statistics of the Cafe game, and I don't know if it will help Worthy or not, but combining his current Clubhouse performance with his sensational performance on Villa, he's 29 and 10 in the last 2 maps so far. He's almost on a +3 KDR, guys. 7-3-1 to start Clubhouse in this opening half. He has been on a tear in this matchup.
Yeah, 100%. He's been very scary. And Roffle not really able to shut him down so far in this matchup. It's felt like almost on every map, Roffle have had someone start off a little bit slow. It was Boydie on the last map at least, and now Campo is struggling a little bit here. In round number 6, keep in mind though, he has been playing the hard breacher, so wouldn't necessarily be expecting him to be getting many frags on the board, and maybe that's more of a reflection of the team's late round ability, or inability, I guess, to close out rounds, not necessarily a reflection of his personal performance, as OJ as well, who's been playing hard breacher, has been struggling too, right? So
yeah.
And normally these players are thriving late round and hitting trade kills, as the stats would suggest. So maybe if Roffle can clean up those executes, get these players in the game a little bit more, they can pull off maybe this round here and convert something. Try to keep this map within arm's reach.
Well, it feels like it's following the Villa timeline. If they can get 4-2 here, you kind of back them in on their defense here on Clubhouse to arrest this scoreline and turn things around. And Chiefs surely would be wary of that. And of course, they haven't actually used their tack timeout yet. I thought they may have wanted to do so at 4-0. They said no. They haven't used it yet. Worthy, though, with an Nitro Cell will eliminate Bouncin. That might be all the Chiefs need. They can fall back to side if they want to, give up that cash position. OJ was down, but he's brought back up. Good start to the round for the Chiefs. A 5-1 half would be so detrimental for Roflcopter in their approach on the defense. They will not have really much room to slip up at all.
Probably not the biggest loss in terms of utility here for Roffle. They still have the triple hard breach on the board, but as we saw on Villa, the opening kill often very important in helping claim round wins, and probably even more important on this match, right? First 5 rounds, 4 of those were obtained by the team that got the opener, suggesting that the Chiefs are holding on late round and winning out these trade encounters. Do you see a bit of a switch up here from Roffle as they Maverick trick open the Jacuzzi wall? But they are met with that mirror. If no one goes below to clear that, it's going to be a tough push.
2 Nitro Cells remaining. That's Fisher Guy and Digital. Although, I've just called his name and he's just been spotted by Campo, who's off the duck. He's got a kill. 35 seconds left, and a pivotal one at that, to at least just make things a little bit more even. Worthy down below. Watching that gym hatch. Campo needs to be careful. Worthy's going to make his way back upstairs now for the final 20-second push. It's go time for Roflcopter. But if they all just sort of vault through these windows, I don't sense it's going to go well for them. It's Boydie. Was that Jacuzzi? I think it might have been from there, that position. He got Worthy over at the main stairs. Vast comes around the back, though. Collects hot shot. Now 3 versus 2. No diffuser for Boydie and OJ. They're in a bit of trouble here. The round is certainly going to go the way of the Chiefs, and that's going to be the half going the way of the Chiefs. 5-1. They are firmly in control.
Well, it's a great start for the Chiefs. 5-1 the lead, and they're now, funnily enough, on their favored side, a 78% win rate. That's what Roffle is staring at here. That's the Chiefs' win rate on Clubhouse attacks. That's scary. Roffle are going to have to pull off something very, very special here to bring this back.
It would have to be historical, especially for OCN. It would probably be one of the best comebacks that we've seen in the regional competition. Be down 5-1 in this third map with the grand final spot on the line. They are on the defense. If they're going to be able to do it, you would want to be on the defense here on Clubhouse. But Chiefs, I mean, this is their map, really. I mean, I know it's a decider map, but they've been very good on Clubhouse recently. They've been good in general recently, and you're seeing their best players perform better here in Clubhouse. God Legion 7-1. I mean, we saw Worthy pop off on Villa, but for God Legion to get back to his fragging best is really proving to be the difference right now. And on top of that, you know, Campo is the opposite, 1-6, after so far being so instrumental in this series, alongside usually Bouncer, who's 3-5. So the star players for Roflcopter are just sleeping at the moment.
Fisher Guy, one of the key supports for the Chiefs, opening up that wall efficiently here and beginning to apply pressure on Roffle. Bouncer not backing down without a fight, sticks the Oryx, gets aggressive on the initial peak despite that wall being open. Surely that drone has spotted his position. In fact, it has. That, of course, forces him to fall back, play his life. But he does have assistance from Campo to get a little bit aggressive. Bodie as well down below.
But they're going to make sure they're not too over-aggressive. And there's all the C4's perfect. That's goodbye to God Legion. Lights out. And now look at how quickly they just run back down to site. It's job done. You get that pick. You can happily sit on site. Makes it so hard for the Chiefs now at a disadvantage to take Church Arsenal. It's credit to Roflcopter. But you have to be in those aggressive positions if you're going to find that kill, and they did that.
Question now is, do the Chiefs know these players have rotated back towards site? And if so, how quickly can they begin to work the hatches? It seems like they're confident the coast is clear. One hatch already open, presumably by the defense there inside of bar, as Vert is now being established. Might see where they had some issues with kitchen hatch, but I think that is being opened now as the launcher was used. Or is being prepared to be used at least. Digital probably just making sure the coast is clear, and he'll be able to work that 2x Kairos at a time.
It's a must-win round for Roflcopter. You're in this position, 40 seconds left. You're up 5 versus 4. Of course, you're down 5-1 in this third and final map of
the
this
flank
series. Bouncing. See, now, is this necessary? Maybe, maybe not, but I kind of like it. Something a little different, and it should catch the Chiefs unaware. Now, it's definitely going to catch them unaware. Although he's not going to find anything initially. Oh, never mind. I'll take that one back. He just spots one at the bottom of central stairs. Then another one in kitchen. And that's just enough to throw off this attack completely. I mean, Bouncing goes upstairs. He's not going to be a factor in this push as Chiefs now drop down the hatch, push through dirt for Vasp. And they are losing these exchanges as well. Yeah, and there's nothing they can do. As soon as the Oryx starts flanking them, the push is dead in the water. Roflcopter get their second round here on Clubhouse.
No flank watch banned out in this matchup, so that's a concerning sign for the Chiefs on their first attack. No drone established to watch that flank, or no drone that was established being watched. I can only presume that this is a Chiefs attack timeout, surely, off the back of that blunder. Would not be surprised if it was, and there we go, confirmation. It is in fact a Chiefs tactical timeout, and we can only assume, we can only guess, but they have got to be talking about their drone work. There is no way you should be having a player just run straight through bar and pull that off. I mean, maybe Bouncin did pop up through a hatch at some stage there that we didn't see, but the fact that he just walked straight through bar, I mean, it's pretty common knowledge, well, pretty common strategy rather, to see teams just have a drone set up there to watch that flank, right? It's not groundbreaking, so there's definitely a mistake made somewhere along the line there for the Chiefs, and it was very costly.
You like fun facts, Guz?
I do.
So on Villa, it was 5-3 in favor of Chiefs before RoflcopterGG then went and won 3 rounds in a row to get the first match point, which of course Chiefs ended up winning that. But it just highlights that RoflcopterGG are not out of this. You win this next one on CCTV cash, which in recent history, it's been kind of difficult for attackers to take this. You know, we've seen teams try Con, we've seen teams try Garage, mixed results. Usually. So at 5-3, RoflcopterGG on the defense, it's the parallels between this and Villa start to take shape a little bit. But if Chiefs can overcome the parallels and make it 6-2, it's hard to see the Chiefs then not being able to win at least one more round. I think the longest that RoflcopterGG have gone on having consecutive wins is that 3-round stretch that they had on Villa on the defense. And in those 3 rounds as well, 2 times Chiefs got the opening pick, so they were at a disadvantage for 2 of those 3 rounds. So RoflcopterGG do well under pressure. They're not a team that is going to be taken lightly out of this just because it's 5-2. They're still in this. But they're in this, but they got to win every single round really from here. Otherwise, it's going to get really difficult. So what have they got left in the tank?
5 seconds to insertion.
Again, heading into this, Roffle really don't have much to lose. They're the highest ranked of the teams that aren't already in APAC South, which is a really nice boost for them in the point standings when it comes to promo relegations later in the year, depending on how all that plays out. Still a long way to go in that context, but solid start for them nonetheless. And you don't have much to lose. Often teams play solid siege, and there's no reason why Roffle won't back down without a fight. We did see actually there a glimpse of Fisher getting a sneaky drone in towards site. They're already improving their droning on that last round, which saw a pretty poor economy, costing them that round.
Ooh, that's early.
Yeah.
Just to buy a bit of time, I guess, for the Maverick.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hot shot. Actually burning 2 canisters, so don't expect him to have a big impact late round in terms of plant denial, but he is stopping the wall from getting open pretty quickly, and we're a minute in, it still hasn't been popped.
But how much emphasis, you know, a lot of the times you see this CC wall get opened up, sometimes around the 2-minute mark, sometimes 1:45 mark, it's going to get open. So unless you're going to be able to stop it entirely, or they've got some sort of plan. Now, Boydie, that's ambitious.
A little bit. Was shot down in the end. Bouncing to reclaim the rafters position, though. It's going to be a key one at that. Tampa is aiding, though. Echo on the board. Yokai drones, of course, can be utilized to assist these players in and around site. Interesting pathing here from Digital, actually, over towards Kitchen Hallway. Maybe looking to pressure from below.
We'll see whether or not that run out from Boydie is really going to bite RoflcopterGG in the behind. But as I mentioned before, over on Villa, at times they were at this disadvantage, this very same 5 versus 4 scenario, and they overcame it quite a few times. So I don't know if that's just Chiefs unable to capitalize, or if that's full credit to RoflcopterGG in their ability to adapt and to play it down. There's trades. It's 1-1. Still leaves the advantage over to the Chiefs. And this con push has now been established. They get another pick. That's bouncing onto God Legion. And that just evens things up momentarily. Momentarily is the word, though, of the day, because it's now, again, 3 versus 2. Chiefs mounting the pressure onto Hotshot and bouncing. And there's another one back. I mean, it is literally back and forth in this 8th round. Bouncing on site in CCTV. Vast over towards Con with Digital, I believe. No, Digital's not. He's actually still repelling. So they are split heavily. He's going to go over to the window and hits. That's the diffuser down. That's the round.
Got traded though. It's Hotshot at the breach to try and hold
Run
on.
away.
He plays time and runs down below. He can use the shotgun to deny if required, but Digital doesn't even have the kit. He's going to go for the frag. Can he find it? Hotshot continues to hide inside of Lounge, and it works out in the end. A little bit close, but Ruffle do hold on and get the round on the board.
What if he had time to get the diffuser, guns?
Nah. He doesn't win that. Surely. Maybe
Good
he could
idea.
get away if there wasn't enough intel, but would have been very sketch.
Good adjustment, and he wasn't that far off, actually, to be fair. Like, that was a little sweaty for a moment, but 5-3, we get there in the end. And again, these parallels, guys, these storylines, again, when Chiefs got the opening pick, just like Villa. Are we seeing a repeat of Villa happening out in front of our eyes here on Clubhouse? 5-3. Well, I mean, I guess I was going to say, Roflcopter about to go on a bit of a tear here. They kind of are already, just in the last 2-3 rounds.
Ruffle, of course, going to the tertiary objective of Gym Bedroom. And in fact, we're going to see a very similar lineup to what Chiefs are bringing to the board on this objective. Main difference being Kaid in the hands of Ruffle. Chiefs traded that out for a mute. So I guess it's one hard breach denial for another.
The pressure will start to mount on the Chiefs. They've already taken attack timeout as well, so they're not going to even have that in the back pocket if this does continue to blow out in the direction of Roflcopter, who have now won the last 2 rounds in a row. They were down a 5-1 deficit, but they're bringing it back here on Clubhouse on their defense. And the longer that they can continue to do so, then the more so the pressure will swing like a seesaw over to the side of Chiefs, and they will start to feel it. Of course, this being the final map, there's no more lifelines. They don't have another map to fall back on like they did over on Villa. It's do or die. And it would be disaster for them to not make the grand finals. All of the expectations was on the Chiefs to win this, win it comfortably. Roflcopter really came into this really with a free punch, and boy, they've used it well. One slip up, guys, and it's match point.
Campo down below. You could play this position. A C4 up above as the attackers look to push logistics, but it's not really the focus of the Chiefs at the moment. Instead, very much focused on Jacuzzi side. Could be where they mount their attack. You don't necessarily have to see a team take cash control, despite that being popularized in the current meta. I mean, as you can see, they've created the line of sight, but no one holding that from either team at the moment, really. So it all come down to this Jacuzzi side. Critically for the defense, right? A lot of planted. Oh, 3 C4s, but it's now 2. Fast to shut down Campo inside toilets. Losing in the 5v4.
Bouncing. Oh, this is not looking good for Roflcopter. They're trying something, guys, but it's just falling apart. Chiefs are dealing with it quite easily. Bouncing needs to get a kill here. He has to get a kill here. No ifs, ands, or buts, and he does get at least one on the Digital. Expects the swing. Here's the drone. And really, the best thing he can do here is just rotate back. 40 seconds left. He's going to have to be quick. And for the other 2 above, Hotshot, Boydie, going to need to hold on here as Chiefs start to mount their attack. 30 seconds in the round. As I mentioned before, match point could be brewing here if Chiefs can win this. Fisher Guy going to go for that gym plant. Hotshot can't deny it from here, but he does spot a player, peek it. I think it was worthy. He took a big chunk of damage. Godlich and did catch Bouncing, so he's not going to be able to rotate to side after all. It is up to the 2 players left. Nice swing from Boydie to the player on stairs. Oh, he's going to get a free kill as well onto Fisher Guy. Worthy from bathrooms catches him though. 2 versus 1. Hotshot should know where it is, and he knows there's a player in the bathroom. Lets the nitrocell go. Doesn't get that kill. Worthy though peeks it. Then the swing from God Legion from Con. Chiefs. In a messy round, secure match point and series point.
God Legion narrowly gets that final pick. Roffle not going down without a fight, but the experience of the Chiefs shines through. It's a 6-3 lead. Match point, series point. Roffle tried to get aggressive, but the Chiefs, they pulled off the execute well. They took control of Jacuzzi and translated that into its gym. No one from Roffle denying that plant. Hotshot a single shot away from potentially being able to disable that diffuser, but it wasn't quite enough in the end.
Well, the missed opportunity was earlier than that, when we saw Worthy swing out from bathrooms the first time, and we saw Hotshot get him to about half health and not actually get the kill. If he gets that kill, Boyd is free to actually push past Jacuzzi wall with that double. That would have left one player for Chiefs left in Con in like a 1v2 or, you know, a 2v2, something like that. I think actually it would have been a 1v2. It basically would have won the round. It's not Hotshot's fault by any stretch of the imagination. Played well in the circumstances that were left on him in the end. And such is life, I guess. You know, there's little moments, but that was just a little moment that went the way of Chiefs. Worthy being able to survive, get that kill onto Boydie, and from there, the round was the Chiefs to lose. Match point.
5 seconds to go.
Well, Roflcopter got 3 rounds in a row on Villa. Will that be
Objective is to locate
something that they can lean into here on Clubhouse? Because they have to get 3 rounds in a row now. They've done it once. They haven't done it on Clubhouse at all, though.
Maybe Bouncing can go big here. Playing aggressive over towards Secret and maybe thinking about getting an early pick. Pre-placed drones there from the Chiefs were established, and provided those that were and are being flicked through, they should know whether top floor is clear or not. I believe it is. And as such, the Chiefs can focus their efforts on the first floor. Digital might be stuck on the hatch there, which is a little bit unfortunate. Oh, well. Either way, the top floor is clear, so that shouldn't be too impactful.
Well, it's all on Roflcopter to make something happen, though. But I think one of the downfalls for Roflcopter has been their desire to make something happen, and at times maybe too aggressive. You know, we saw the Boydie run out from Garage in the other round earlier on, and we've seen Roflcopter at times just giving away these opening picks maybe a little too easily, which is allowing Chiefs to just have the advantages in these rounds too long at a time. Shot back onto Digital, punishing him for opening up those sight lines just outside kitchen. Minute and a half. Not too bad for the Chiefs right now. They'll get to work on getting this kitchen hatch open.
OJ's Electro Claw is on the hatch, and as such, Fisher Guy will need to try and grenade that and clear it. Has been cleared now, and where they can begin 2x Kairos at a time to open that. And again, it's not really going to be contested. We haven't seen that, considering Habana's current state. It's very difficult to do that efficiently. Campo instead probably keeping those impacts for the triple wall, or maybe even a cheeky plant and all if required late round. Good work here by the Chiefs, establishing good foothold, and they may well be edging towards that series victory. Still 5 defenders up, though, that need to be dislodged.
And the last time we saw this site, we had an advantage on the side of Roflcopter. They were up 5 versus 4 on Church Arsenal. This time, Chiefs got all 5 players. So when this trade of gunfire starts to ring out down below, Chiefs aren't going to be at a disadvantage. They are going to leave it to the final seconds, though. There's still a shield up as well. They've struggled to really clear everything. And Roflcopter through Boydie, again, similar to last time. They get the opening pick, but the trades will ring out around the map now. Digital pushes into Arsenal, spots that player in dirt. That's Hotshot. He actually catches a bit of damage. Fisher Guy going to try and stick the plant now, but Hotshot will swing out. He'll deny that from being stuck. 3 seconds left. Vast has to worry about the diffuser more than anything, though. That's going to leave Digital to cover his behind, and he's done that with a kill onto Campo. He's done it with a second one. Digital wins it for the Chiefs. They go into the grand final to take on the Knights. They stop this RoflcopterGG gauntlet run dead in its tracks, 7-3 on Clubhouse.
Oh, it's a little bit sketchy there in the late round. Digital allows Hotshot to swing wide, but he comes up clutch in the end. That's all that matters. They win 7-3. They're heading to the grand final. They'll be taking on the Knights. And my word, if Worthy can keep stepping up the way he has been in this series, I think the Knights could be shaken a little bit. They'll be trembling.
Yeah, Worthy, again, another decent performance, but this time he had some help, unlike Villa, where it was a one-man show. This was the Chiefs that you expect to see, and the Chiefs that RoflcopterGG were hoping they weren't going to have to run into. Credit to RoflcopterGG, firstly and foremost. I do want to say what an incredible run through the gauntlet. It does come to an end, but they shouldn't be disappointed. The Chiefs are a very solid outfit, and they are going to be worthy contenders against the Knights in the grand final. But for RoflcopterGG, their time does come to an end. Third place, though, Guz. Before we, of course, do all the celebrations for Chiefs, any final words you want to say for RoflcopterGG's season?
I think, like I alluded to a little bit in the cast and brought up, it's important to remember that Roffle finished the highest of all of the non-APAC South teams, which will be critical when it comes to promo relegations later in the year. They'll be in a great position at the start of the year to continue building upon that form, and they could be at the pointy end and maybe be a chance of making that later. So provided they keep up this form and other teams don't start reading into them too much and shutting them down, then yeah, they could be a serious threat as the year continues.
Awesome to watch RoflcopterGG, but of course it is Chiefs Day here so far. Of course, there is, of course, now the grand final to play out very shortly. Before we get to that grand final, though, we're going to have the desk break things down.
There certainly is a lot to break down as well, Xenox. It was an incredible third and final map for the Chiefs. Maybe not so much for RoflcopterGG. They did mount somewhat of a comeback there, Dev, but ultimately the Chiefs are just too strong.
Yeah, the Chiefs really just came out of the gate swinging on their defenses. A 5-on-half is just insane, and it was on the back of not only just good technical siege, but also massive plays. And we talked so much about Fisher and everything he's brought to the team. Huge plays from him. Worthy, not quite as heavy hitting as he was on Villa, but still certainly did not have a quiet game. A lot of very impressive multi-kills. Just looking for those opportunities that RoflcopterGG are giving to them, those tiny little snags of cotton left on the clothing, and they're just taking them and grabbing them, pulling them until there's nothing left.
I guess for Worthy, then the rest of the team picking up the weight for what was the an interesting clubhouse, all things considered. But when we look back at RoflcopterGG's performance, Vinny, their opening engagements, just time and time again. You spoke about it in the pre-show, and it's continued to ring true here.
Yeah, it's just been the story of the weekend, and I think it kind of highlights their playstyle and sometimes the weakness of that playstyle, that over-aggression early round. You know, you can't fault them for trying to, set the pace early and try to get the picks, but as you can see there, almost everybody was negative. I think going into the 5th round, 3 members of Chiefs hadn't even died yet, so, it was very much a one-sided half, and 5-1 at the half. It's very hard to come back going into the defenses for RoflcopterGG.
Dev?
Yeah, just look at that KOST column from Chiefs, like 90, 90, 90, 80, 80. That is just insane. Incredible consistency. A lot of that cost factor comes from the survival rate, as you mentioned, Vinny, 3 rounds in, and yeah, I think it was God Legion, Digital, and Worthy hadn't even died yet come the 5th round, which was just ridiculous. The fact that not only do they have incredible individual performances, but also, a big team game across the board, very consistent. Now, a couple of missed opportunities there. I think that game could have ended earlier on that first cash attack from Chiefs. Just a missed opportunity that we could have seen come through. But yeah, very, very good all in all. And I think very confident now in Chiefs' ability. I think you're starting to win me over, Vinny. I'm not confident yet on whether they'll take it tonight, but they certainly demonstrated that they are a top team here in OCN.
They certainly are, and we're going to get a chance to hear from one of their top performers, Vast. Mate, you are booking your spot into the final round, into the grand final against the Pittsburgh Knights. Now, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. RoflcopterGG really, they gave you a good show, all things considered.
Yeah, 100%. They were definitely a tough opponent today compared to when we versed them in OCN definitely came out firing today.
Ev?
Yeah, I just think you guys have had a great showing, and you're looking to be in really strong form at the moment. After what has been a bit of a mixed season across both APAC South and OCN, how do you feel like your form has improved?
Yeah, we have a pretty big inconsistency issue this season, but we're working on it, and I think from the start of the season to the end, there was a trajectory of improvement and whatnot. But yeah, we're still working on it. A lot of mistakes still to work on. But I'm pretty happy overall with how well we've played so far this season.
Vinny?
And just kind of going on, well done, by the way, against your nephew Bouncing. That was a good game to watch. Just continuing on that form question, what do you think specifically has kind of allowed you guys to find your form this late in the season?
Just honestly, just reviewing the games we've lost and just being super critical. The thing about our team, I don't know if it's like with a lot of teams, but for us, we're super critical on ourselves in scrims, in games. So a lot of just vodding, looking at mistakes, and just analyzing the mistakes and finding solutions to fix them.
Yeah. So you've just played 3 maps. You are now going into a potential 5-map game. One, how are you feeling with the veto? Like, as in, I'm sure the veto's not done yet, but how are you feeling going up against having 5 maps open against the Knights? And 2, how is the stamina going right now?
I've tried to conserve my energy just in case we do have to go to Knights, because not to say that I wasn't trying or anything, but we definitely wanted to spread it out. We didn't want to go too hard in the first map, whatever. We kind of wanted to just kind of go a bit chill. The vetoes, I mean, we're pretty confident in our map pool. This is the first time we're going to be versing Knights in a BO5, so I have no clue how it's going to go, but I'd imagine they're probably going to win a lot of their best maps. We're going to win our best maps. And it will probably, I don't know, the decided maps, who knows where that will go.
I pray to God we see a 5-map banger Vast. But anyway, mate, we will leave you to your own devices. Please go and rest, because we're going to see you very shortly. Good luck.
I do not wish for a 5-mapper, Rob. I wish for a 3-mapper, but you do, mate.
5-mapper, 3-mapper, it doesn't make a difference. We have a lot of Siege still to come, Dev.
We certainly do. And yeah, just Fast even mentioning the fact that they've never played the Knights in a BO5 before. It's a very exciting prospect. In fact, I think they've barely played in BO3s before, because you think about like last playoffs, of course, Chiefs were eliminated by LFO. And I think this also marks, on that note, quite a significant occasion in the Chiefs' career. As we've said, they've always been on the outside looking in. A year ago, they came 2nd place in the Pro League 2 Fnatic. But because the Pro League Finals was cancelled, they didn't get to go to LAN. Absolutely gut-wrenching for that team. And then for the entire rest of the year, 6 Masters and OCN, they fell short at the bit and were eliminated early. Ended up 5th place in playoffs last time around. Here they are, top 2, and honestly in form to potentially take the grand final. This is a one-of-a-kind opportunity for the Chiefs, one they've never seen before.
Vinny, just final thoughts before we close up the semi-final and then head to the grand final.
Just want to say a big shout out to Roflcopter. I think they should be nothing but proud of the way they've performed this weekend. They had a few issues, and compared to the rest of the teams, they're very inexperienced. And we've kind of been pushing that David versus Goliath story, and I think they've done the absolute best they can, and I think they should be nothing short of proud.
No, against all odds, they made it through to round 2. Unfortunately, they don't get to see Knights in the final, but it is, of course, Chiefs that will be meeting them toe-to-toe. We're going to go to a bit of a break. On the other side, it'll be Dev and I joining the Peanut Gallery and Xenox and Guz to run you through all the action. We'll see you in just a minute.
Contributions towards teams can whoa, sometimes not be attributed to numbers, OJ.
And he should get it down before Campo makes it over. Surely Campo hasn't got a lot of health either. Boucher guy just has to stand up, hit a shot, and he does do just that for the Chiefs. A match point And this is what the Chiefs need to do as well. Can't start casting their minds to the...
Campo need to link up over towards Astro. It's going to be a tough entry. Campo gets the first, though. Digital gets slung as well. Will be overwhelmed, so they need to take this risk. Oh, God, Legion.
Trigger.
The trigger discipline. He sits, he waits.
Is that Manic? Is that Manic Monday? Oh, he just butts him in the face. I think one player around that closet area at the moment, if that. No one else was really close by there. There was that one player there. He's gone now. Boydie getting impatient. Oh, the Campo on the Yana. Might just be the one to lead the entry. Bast couldn't hit the initial shot. God Legion's watching and waiting, and he does get bounced. And Hotshot goes down as well to Bast. The Fuse are down. Chiefs win the round. Clutch from God Legion and Bast.
Hotshot's still going to commit to the nade, though, and try and clear this off.
Oh, no. Hotshot should know where it is, and he knows there's a player in the bathroom. Lets the Nitrocell go. Doesn't get that kill. Worthy, though, peeks it. Then the swing from God Legion from Con. Fisher guy going to try and stick the plant now, but Hotshot will swing out. He'll deny that, though, from being stuck. 3 seconds left. Vast has to worry about the diffuser more than anything, though. That's going to leave Digital to cover his behind, and he's done that with a kill onto Campo. He's done it with a second one. Digital wins.